It's time for TWiT This Week in Tech. I'm Jason Howell, filling in for Leo, along with Ant Pruitt and Mikah Sargent. We're here in studio talking about all the news from this week. Apple Pay versus Starbucks, and what's going on with mobile payments there. We meet Mikah's Elvis laptop. Also, I just got the new Pixel 4 XL, so I'm a little excited about that. Jeff Bezos lost the title as richest man in the world for a very quick moment. And Facebook launched its news portal again. That and more up next on This Week in Tech.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
This is TWiT, This Week in Tech, episode 742, recorded October 25th for Sunday, October 27th, 2019. Leave the wallet at home. This episode of This Week in Tech is brought to you by Privacy.com. Stop using the same card number everywhere. Use Privacy's virtual cards to protect your financial information and get a free $5 credit that you can use on any online purchase just for signing up today. To learn more and sign up in under a minute, go to Privacy.com/TWiT. And by Worldwide Technology. Worldwide Technology's advanced technology center is like no other testing and research lab with more than $500 million of equipment, including OEMs like Dell EMC. And it's virtual, so you can access it 24/7. To learn more and get insights into all that it offers, go to www.com/TWiT. And by Cashfly. Give your users the seamless online experience they want. Power your site or app with Cashfly's CDN and be 30% faster than the competition. You can learn more at twit.cashfly.com. And by Calm, the #1 app to help reduce your stress, relax your mind, and to help you sleep. Get 25% off a Calm premium subscription at calm.com/TWiT. It's time for TWiT, This Week in Tech. Unfortunately, Leo Laporte is not with us today. He is traveling the world, so you get me. Sorry, folks. I'm Jason Howell, sitting in Leo's chair, surrounded by other TWiT, just magical people. Ant Pruitt.
I have my moments. I have my moments where I'm magical. I'll admit that, because I am not a mere mortal like you all.
Well, you are. You're now a TWiT.
I am.
That's all it takes.
That's it.
Good to see you, Ant. Also,
too,
Mikah Sargent to my right.
Hello, Mikah Magical Sargent is something no one's ever called me.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
But
It doesn't ever have to happen again, actually.
you know what is magical?
What's that?
Having a utility company that's a privately owned utility company and having them make decisions that result in us recording a show that we usually record on Sundays on a Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's it's funny that you mentioned that because oddly enough, that's what happened. Isn't that strange? So we are here a few days early. Well, we're recording a few days early. It's still going out tomorrow, right? So Saturday instead of Sunday.
That sounds
I'm not
about
really
right.
quite sure. Ultimately, there's a strong possibility that the studio's power is going to be shut off on Sunday, which is when we normally record and release This Week in Tech.
This is my public safety shut-off dance. We're so excited about it.
Yeah, and we're not saying anything that people aren't familiar with because this happened a couple of weeks ago.
All right.
I was out of town when that happened, so I thought I dodged a bullet.
Welcome.
Welcome. We had to initiate you, is what that was.
Yeah,
well,
actually,
thank you.
we both called PG&E and said, now listen.
Yeah.
We're going to sell our stock in this thing
Make
if
this
you
happen.
don't make this happen for Jason Howell.
Oh, great. Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah,
'cause,
anytime.
It's kind of stressful.
You know, I woke up this morning and I walked outside, and being from Missouri, from the Midwest, near Kansas City, which by golly has some of the best barbecue.
That's right.
Thank you. I walked out and I said, someone's smoking brisket right now.
Yes.
And then I got into the studio, and Jason, you came in and you were like, so did you smell the fires this morning? And I was like, oh, that's what that was.
Oh, great.
Not Grandma Virginia
Not
smoking
the same.
brisket.
And then
Darn
at the
it.
same time, you were on a photo walk this morning, and you
I
were
was.
talking about how the sunrise
It
was
looked
beautiful.
Great. It looked great, but
Meanwhile,
I wonder why.
exactly. Meanwhile, that's because the sky is filled with smoke,
Yeah.
and it really does make the sun look spectacular and kind
it
of
was very pretty out
orange,
there.
and it's very different.
Very pretty.
There's a
out
reason
there.
for that beauty.
But then the phone started buzzing. Yeah, Ant. we need you in the office stats.
But did you have a good photo walk at least?
I did. My good friend Miss Liana came to town, and she's one of my mentors with photography, and it was great to see her again for the first time in a long time and get out there and actually go shoot. This is like the third time I've been able to use my camera for leisure since coming here.
Really?
Nice. And
I've been here a month.
And it's
This is
only
your
your
main
third
camera.
time. Yeah.
You know, and it was just, it was great. It was great.
And this is not a camera that you're reviewing.
Nope, this is just
your.
mine. This is just going out and shooting and just
Yeah, right on.
enjoying the scene. It was great. It was
And
so
the smell.
peaceful. Yeah, and the smell.
Well, you captured the sky before it's even more filled with smoke. I just hope that both of you don't have to endure what we have the last couple of years.
I hope
which is
not. And I hope the folks-
overwhelming smoke.
I've only bought one air purifier for my home, and so that's what am I going to need, like 2 more if that happens?
Possibly.
Yeah,
2 more and like a hazmat suit, and
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, it gets really intense at a certain point. If last year the smoke was in the air long enough that you forget what it's like to breathe fresh air.
That's scary, man.
See, here's the thing.
Man.
I'm asked to come here,
Yeah.
and I've talked about this before.
Oh, you're gonna love it here.
Yeah,
You're gonna love
I'm
it.
going to love it here. I'm asked to come here, and no one tells me about this thing called the Sonoma aroma, which is basically where cow dung permeates the air.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. It's true.
It was manure day the other day. You know that?
It's always manure day in Sonoma County when it's warm outside. No one tells me that haircuts are going to cost me $70.
Oh, forgot
man.
that part. Yeah, sorry.
And then no one told me that the fires are an every year thing now.
Yeah.
So
Well, we're still trying to figure out if it's an every year thing. The last couple of years, it's been an every year thing. I honestly thought that maybe this was the year it wasn't going to happen. Yet here we are.
I don't quite follow
So-
your math on that one, sir.
Hey, now that it's 3 years in a row, now it feels like an
it's
every
going to be
year
an every year thing. Yeah.
I thought before it was just a coincidence, but
Jeez.
so I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I personally convinced
Thanks,
you.
Jason.
Which I didn't.
Jeez.
But,
Yeah, you did.
know,
It was not your fault.
Notice I didn't call you Mr. Howell that time.
That's all right. You can call me
that's
whatever you
weird.
like, Ann. I called you magical. So there.
Oh,
Both of you.
This Week in Fires is coming to a conclusion.
All right.
Tech
So
begins.
that's why we're here on a few days prior. And yeah, it's kind of like the Three Amigos running the show with Leo out. So we can really talk about whatever we want. So if we want to
Heck
start
yeah.
with fires.
He can't do anything about it.
Yeah. Yeah. So if the choice is ours to make, what would you like to talk about first? We can go Google, we can go Apple, we can go Microsoft.
I mean, if it's my choice, I'm going to talk about my dogs, so you probably don't want it to be my choice.
If it was up to me, I would say let me go ahead and just get this Facebook stuff out of our system.
Oh man, you're like you're jumping right into
You want
the
to rip
fire.
off the bandage.
just get
Oh,
it
the
out of
fire.
our
Come on, too
system.
soon, too soon.
Sorry.
Get
All
it out
right,
of our
so
system. They've been in the news, and I don't care for any of it, but we are a tech studio.
yeah. No, I agree. So okay, you at once upon a time you had a Facebook account.
Sometime back.
And then when did you get rid of it?
I think it was 2015, 2016, something like that.
So you clued in before a lot of people.
I was like, I'm done. I cut it off. Well, for me, the premise was I wasn't getting anything out of it from a small business standpoint, as well as engagement was non-existent. I had family members on there that never said squat to me unless I posted up something stupid like somebody fighting or some weird meme, or if I said something totally off the cuff like, oh man, I'm feeling sick today. Then all of the engagement shows up. It's almost like people were on Facebook to just spread depression or just idiotic stuff. But anything thought-provoking, I got nothing. And so I was like, on January 1st of such and such year, I think it was 2015, I'm cutting it off. And I did. And I ain't been back since. I haven't missed it either.
Were you worried when you cut it off? Like,
Nope.
oh man, like what's
Nope.
gonna happen?
Nope. Not at all.
Yeah, I didn't think that you were.
You
I
know,
could pick up on that.
My mom is still available by phone or text or what have you. My sister, they're still available by phone. And the other folks in my family, they have phones, but they change their numbers every other day, so they don't really care either. So I'm good.
All right. And then what about you, Micah? Are you on Facebook?
So I recently returned to the platform because I felt like I had to. So
Because of work or
no, because some company on Facebook took a photo of me they found on the internet.
Oh, right. I remember that.
It was a photo that I took as a hero image for an iMore article about playing Pokemon Go without having to get up off of your couch. So it was me sitting on my couch in a robe with my dogs on my lap, sort of like looking lazy. That was the point of the story.
Makes sense.
And so that article was pretty popular. So it was kind of all over, Google through different search terms. So I don't know if they looked up lazy plus guy or whatever, but they found this photo and they took it and they put my face next to this random photo of some woman and put us together in this image. And then they put an article or a headline underneath it that says, man, like it was the premise of the story was that the girlfriend would not take the boyfriend off of the lease. And so he was doing whatever he could to annoy her so that she would remove him from the lease. And so, yeah, here's the tweet about it. So it essentially looks like I'm being a creepy creepster because, or at the very least, like a spoiled brat because I'm not getting taken off of a lease. And so I'm pestering this woman.
So sad, man.
And then this story was spread all over Facebook because they paid for it to be sponsored.
Right.
And when you click on the article, it goes to a story that is not about me, obviously. This was not my past, and it's different people. And so I had to ask my friends who were on Facebook, can you please report this article, do whatever you can from your end of things, and then I'll try to do whatever I can, not being a Facebook user, to get this thing removed. And there really wasn't an easy way to do that.
Of course.
So I ended up making a Facebook account just for the purpose of having my identity established so that I can say, this is me, and I am saying that is not okay because that's not my story.
All right.
Because I'm fine now, but I'm just trying to think of like, if for someone who was looking to get a new job or something like that, and their boss was scrolling through Facebook the night before because they normally scroll through Facebook, you see this story, and then that changes because it's my face, like that's my face there, and my dogs, for God's sake, like don't.
Oh yeah, there's one thing I know about Mikah.
Henry and Missy.
Don't come at my dogs. So that was really frustrating. And what was the most frustrating is that despite the fact, there was always, or for a long time, a feature to sort of pause your account on Facebook. But Facebook only recently, and by recently I mean in the past few years, re-added the ability to completely delete your account. And so I completely deleted my account, removed the whole thing, had it gone, and had to set up a new account with me and then go through and establish myself, to get through that process. So I feel trapped to be on the platform, and that makes Facebook even more frustrating to me.
Now, can I ask you a question? With regards to getting that thing taken down, how much of a pushback did you get? Because I'm pretty sure they had all of the legalese saying, well, hey, when you click accept on these terms and services, you agree to let us show your dogs and use your blood samples and everything else.
Yeah. So if the photo had been something that I had posted on Facebook, I would not have had any sort of claim to it.
Right.
I did not post this photo on Facebook. This was a photo published in an article that I was paid to write when I worked at a company.
Right.
They grabbed it from the internet and used it on the site. It wasn't anything that I agreed to share on the site. So because of that, I was able to file a copyright claim for the photo and have it removed that way. But you're right.
Any other time, they'd have been like, yeah, whatever.
If they wanted to take your profile photo and use it in an advertisement, then I would have been SOL. But in this case, that was something that I was able to do. But it's just, I could go through, and the ads had been running since I think May or June, and this was in August, I believe. I can't remember when that tweet was sent, but for multiple months, my face and this young woman's face as well, we were both out there being attached to this story that had nothing to do with us. And it wasn't Facebook, the company itself. It was this company that advertises on Facebook. But the fact that I had to become a part of Facebook again in order to do anything about it, that's what was really frustrating.
That is super frustrating.
Yeah.
The thing is, I don't believe Twitter is immune from this behavior. The same thing could happen there.
Yeah, absolutely it could.
You know, if an article is out there and someone just strips the image like what they did there, they can do the same thing on the Twitter platform, and it could go viral with all of the reshares and stuff. So it's not just Facebook; it's just online use. You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
well, and so Facebook, of course, is in the news this week for a couple of reasons. One, it's in the news because it's adding some news stuff to its platform, which, if you have even the slightest bit of news understanding or media intelligence, I don't even know, media literacy, then you would have immediately gone, wait, what? Why is Facebook doing this? Because of the way that Facebook is used to disseminate false information, and the way that we've seen time and time again through studies that have been done that Facebook is a fantastic vector for spreading news that is inaccurate or spreading information that's false. Because of the way that our base lizard brains work, we want to go to those things that are, either they really make us upset or we really, really agree with them. And so it's easier for us to click on those things we really agree with or very much disagree with and interact with them. And then Facebook's platform builds and builds and builds. And so Facebook launching this news section and sort of positing that it's the creation of it is so that publishers can get money that they need. That's like a cool, but that's not the important thing now. Maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago, when we were looking at how Facebook was, and by we, I mean when I worked at the last company that I worked for, like how important it was to be a part of Facebook, or else we were not making digital money.
That's what I was going to ask you. Can you look at it from the perspective of a freelancer or a journalist that's losing subscribers on their regular site because of Facebook, and they're trying to do whatever they can to pull those eyeballs back to their site, and it's just not working. And do you think they would be receptive to that and say, hey, well, Facebook's going to give us some money, so let's go for it?
Doesn't this all sound super familiar, though? I feel like like you were saying, we were just here a couple of years ago. Facebook's news kind of effort failed. It was the big thing. Publishers were creating content just for it, or at least like restructuring their content so it fit into their offering. And, a lot of people were screaming at the time and saying, hey, this is a bad idea. Anytime you're incumbent upon another platform for your success, like at any moment, that rug can be pulled out from under you. And of course that happened.
Yep.
Yet here we are again.
Right back there again.
Right back there again. The new app has the new Facebook news section. This time Facebook says that it's filled by Facebook employees who are free from editorial interventions. So one of the big things around Facebook and news is that, Facebook would have undue influence over what would make it to the page or to the feeds versus not. And so, conservative voices were saying, hey, you're de-emphasizing our content and all that kind of stuff. So Facebook, at least here, in the launch of this news section today, is saying that this is free from editorial intervention. Hopefully that would bypass that, but also based on user preferences. So over time, if I seem to broadcast to Facebook through my use that this is a particular story that would work for me, then it would surface that,
and
supposedly.
That's how we end up back.
Exactly. Totally.
That's
the way of the future, Mikah. That's the future.
This is the thing, though. Cognitive dissonance is the way of the past, the present, and the future, because it's how we're built. It's how we think. And so we are built. We are not evolved enough as human beings yet, I would say, in many cases, to be able to combat the almost physical pain we feel when faced with cognitive dissonance. And so we are always going to tend and trend to try to focus in on stories and news and ideas that agree with the ones that we have. And we're seeing now that more studies are showing that an opinion or even facts that are in direct conflict with yours. So there's like half steps, and those are fine. But if they're in direct conflict with yours, it can solidify your point of view even more. Yes, maybe it's the future, but we've just we're built for this. And so that's what I think ends up being the bigger issue overall, is like trying to find a way to combat that problem. But this is a tech show and not like a psychology show, so I don't know how we fix
but
that.
that's the challenge, is that it all overlaps. It's also, we're not a politics show, but some of the stuff that we'll have to talk about today, but that involve Facebook, has to do with politics. It's just all so overlapping right now. It's kind of impossible to avoid it. But yeah, there's that kind of like human need to seek out the thing that, or to be drawn to the thing that confirms our own beliefs, and that's exactly what these platforms have benefited from,
because they
and created their services around to tailor.
Absolutely,
Right.
because if you're going to get the clicks, if you're going to get the engagement, if you're going to get the things that you get to show to your stockholders or your shareholders, look, our platform's doing well, then there's the built-in need to make sure that those clicks and things are happening. And that's, YouTube has been criticized for that, where
you got to give them credit. They're making business decisions.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. They're a business. They're not people, as what some people want to assume they are. They are a business. So they're going to make business decisions that can sometimes feel pretty gut-wrenching to us.
Now, part of this is that Facebook is working, at least right now, with what they say around 200 trusted, air quotes, trusted publishers: Washington Post, Wall Street Journal, NBC News, ABC News, just to name a few. Oh, and Breitbart. Many are pushing back on that last part to say, hey, by the way, trusted publishers, Breitbart has in the past definitely embedded itself as being, at least to some degree, a news organization, or whatever you want to call it, that tailors to the far right, and in doing so has some of those headlines have been hateful.
When you look through that list of people that they have allegedly been in talks with and looks like it's going to work for them, does that make you look differently at them? Does that make you look differently at the Wall Street Journal as a source?
Oh, because they're in with these other groups?
Right.
No. Well, and I know you didn't ask me, you kind of asked Jason, but
yeah, I was looking at him. I wasn't looking at you.
He doesn't want to know my opinion. Yeah, Jason, how do you look at them differently?
I don't look at the Wall Street Journal or the Washington Post differently because Breitbart's there. Is that what you're asking?
Well, just in general, because these folks are
question
actually
Facebook.
going in cahoots with Facebook instead of just trying to ride it out themselves as their own.
No, I don't blame them for wondering, because I think the state of news and the money that
they still got to get paid. They still got to eat.
Get paid, and it's it's pretty undeniable that Facebook has an insane amount of users.
Right.
And so
business decision.
It's a business decision, right? Like if there is a platform that puts your content in front of billions of users,
right? But you know how boycott heavy our society is now.
Sure.
So that's why I asked that. Oh my gosh, they're in cahoots with Facebook. I'm done with them. I'm never buying that subscription ever again.
Oh, I see.
I'm
You know what I'm saying?
I'm sure they were in cahoots with Facebook on the last thing that
Yeah.
failed. You know what I mean? And Facebook has a new thing, and so they'll try it again, and we'll see how it goes this time.
Right.
I don't fault them for that.
No, because I think at the end of the day, we have these. If we have publications that are genuinely trying to do their best to speak, as they say, truth to power, as is the journalist's way, I don't, within certain bounds, obviously, I don't mind if you are trying every way to make sure that you're able to pay your journalists their fair wage and make sure they have health insurance and things like that. And if that includes making sure that this place where people are putting so much of their focus is a place where you are and that you can get money through that, I think that's great. In particular, because right now, like I said, this with Facebook being a place to get these headlines that really get people focused but are not true or are filled with errors, then let's get some really good publications in there that are speaking truth and being able to be there and sort of dilute the pollution, as it were.
Right. Mm-hmm. Anything would help is what you're saying.
Yeah, please. Okay. Anything would help.
Sorry, I'm the simpleton of the group.
No, I don't think it is.
No. So I guess we'll see. This just launched today, And who the heck knows how this is going to play out, whether it's even going to be useful. Like, I don't even, I was looking over, my wife was showing me something on Facebook, and I don't have a Facebook account. And so I was looking over her shoulder as she was showing it to me. I was like, whoa, the app is updated. Like, I'm so clued out on Facebook at this point because I don't use it on a regular basis.
Right.
Like, they really changed the look and feel of this app. So who knows? Maybe they will position this in a different way on the new design that people will actually use it and
entice you too.
No,
you
know what? The only thing that entices me is that there is at least 1 to 2 Facebook groups that I can't participate in that I would like to participate in.
Yeah.
And so then I'm like, okay, well then, does that mean that I have to create an account and an identity in Facebook in order to participate in these groups? And, it kind of goes back to what we were saying earlier. Like part of me is just like, no, I'm not going to do that.
I'm done.
I don't want that to be the reason that I sign up for an account.
Right. The other thing that I think is always important to note, as I think we can all sometimes forget, as I forget all the time, is that these companies are not. It's not as if everybody who works at the company is all working on the same thing at the same time.
Right.
So Facebook has an inside. There's a news company, or there's a news team within the company that has probably been working on this feature for a long time, and it's just now rolled out.
Yeah.
And when Twitter launches a new feature, then everybody's like, "But how come you haven't done this yet?
Yeah.
How come you haven't done this yet?" And it's like, well, it's not as if all of Twitter just suddenly goes and they focus on the next thing and then that's done.
Yeah, totally.
You've got a bunch of different teams working inside, and so the team at Facebook that was in charge of creating this feature finished it, and it's out there regardless of the timeline of what's going on around it.
I see what you did there.
Including Zuckerberg speaking in front of Congress yet again.
That's right. That did happen. Which I wanted to say, tell me if you've heard it before. Our Facebook CEO goes to Congress to speak in front of blah, blah, blah. Because I feel like this year we've...
You mean yesterday or the day before yesterday?
3 or 4 times.
Or last month.
Exactly. And who the heck knows what actually comes out of it when this seems to happen. But apparently this time things were interesting. Zuck really was just kind of flustered at times, unable to answer some questions. Obviously the topic of Libra was of big importance at this. This was a huge reason for this particular meeting. And, Zuckerberg admitted Facebook might not be the right messenger of such an effort.
Right.
Kind of admitted that, maybe Facebook wouldn't be involved in this in the end, but I really think it needs to happen.
Yeah. I went through that article, and the first thing that jumped out to me is it seemed like Miss Waters was a little bit unfair in her attacks of them. The way she discussed the growth of Facebook and all of its users and acting as if they are above the law. Facebook wasn't forced on any of us. It's not their fault that they, just grew to a gazillion users. They put a product out there that people enjoyed and love to share it with other people, so they grew organically. So you got to give him credit for that. Don't vilify him for putting a product out there that people actually liked at one point in time.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know what her you're talking about Maxine Waters, right?
Waters, right.
Yeah, I'm not sure what her quotes
but I
were
didn't
exactly.
know I didn't know what her agenda was on that. But she tends to be pretty loud.
Yeah, I mean, she's kind of jumping onto the antitrust calls that we're hearing, around Facebook, and then of course around Google and
breaking up tech and so forth. And I'm like, they're big because they made a product that people chose to sign up for. They didn't force it on anybody.
I mean, we're going to hear this drumbeat pounded heavily with Elizabeth Warren. She's very outspoken on this as well.
Yeah, and I got my beef with her too, but everyone thinks I'm off my rocker when I say so because she has a gazillion followers on Facebook and is campaigning and talking a whole lot of smack against these tech companies, and she's still using these tech companies as part of the campaign.
Yeah.
So
that's a good point.
Is that hypocritical, or do I have a different definition for that word?
Right. So I'm trying to think of other things that have been broken up and regulated by the government
that worked.
Well, so major phone companies are within certain bounds not allowed to be monopolies, and that has resulted in over time lower prices, competition, and things like that. And so I don't think that there has to be anything inherently wrong with breaking up big companies, regardless of whether they've been helpful and whether we choose to sign up for them. I think that is a separate observation. Just because we made the choice to sign up for it and like they've gone and been able to grow the company to a big thing, we could say the same about Bell and AT&T. And then everybody right now would be using AT&T, and AT&T would be in charge of how much we'd be paying for our devices. So it's good that that was not allowed to become a monopoly, and that was broken up over time. So I think that, there are places where regulation makes sense, and I think that's kind of going to be, as we're going into things, the way that we have to pay attention to the differences in the policies there. But what we're talking about right now, I think, speaks to the conversation overall. Zuckerberg went to Congress to talk about cryptocurrency. And every time Zuckerberg goes to Congress, it turns into so many other conversations.
Yeah, it really does.
And
they have access to grind.
They do. Yeah, everybody has access to grind. And what I find fascinating is watching our, frankly, in many cases, aged politicians
understatement
learning as they go along. Where the first time Zuck went to Congress, they were basically asking him for tech support during the during the hearing.
Yeah, they were.
But as they're going along, these the points that they're trying to get across, or the conversations they're trying to have, are improving. But what this, to me,
they're learning how to use the internet.
What this to me speaks to is that we need to do a better job of just having tech policy officials in place that know this stuff, because it's clearly something that is worth having a conversation with. But we can't just wait for a hearing to make this stuff happen and to question these things, I guess, is kind of where I come from it. And so the fact that, like, you got to have another thing that Facebook's doing to have this public hearing before you can have these conversations, these are things that I think should be just part of the conversation of the government in the first place.
Yeah. I think what's interesting about what you're talking about, kind of like the generational, kind of part of what I pulled out of that is like this generational gap between kind of the older guard in Congress or in government, and then the younger guard in government right now. AOC at one point asked whether Facebook would take down an ad that was filled with lies or filled with untruths, however you want to call that. I.e., would Facebook actually fact check political ads? And specifically in her question to Zuckerberg, mentioned a fictional ad in which a GOP primary, basically a Republican candidate, supports the new Green Deal.
Oh yeah,
just using that as a theoretical example because that's not happening.
Right,
right, and kind of put Zuckerberg in a position to be like, yes or no, like, would you fact check that if that's false? Like, would you allow me to post that if I tried? AKA, would you take money for this false ad?
Right.
And Zuck would not. He stumbled a lot. He would not answer either.
He didn't answer.
Yeah.
And so,
because it was a yes/no question,
and she kept trying. The video is interesting. Like, you practically hear the sweat building. And then so a man named Adriel, I believe it's a man anyways, Adriel Hampton, created an ad exactly that does this, like yesterday. Created this ad and put together an ad pulling out clips of Lindsey Graham, whatever, and crafting it. And it's down, actually. It's not this video. If you scroll down, it's the video below that. And put together a very convincing, keep going, a very convincing looking ad. And sure enough, was able to, run it on the Facebook platform.
Conservatives for a Green New Deal.
Right.
Oh my God.
Totally created the ad that she used as a hypothetical. And in it, Lindsey Graham is there saying, and I think they probably took him out of context.
Right.
Of course, but saying, like, I fully support the Green New Deal, and fellow Republicans
pretty clever.
should get in on this.
Good on them.
Purely to kind of try and see, like,
Yeah.
is this possible? And of course, it was submitted as an ad. It was approved overnight.
It got approved.
0 questions. It went out. I think it was a small ad buy. I think it went out to like 1,000 people. But anyways, it just kind of proved her point. It was like, okay, so
anybody can make
you go.
anything and make it an ad. And I think that the point of that question and the bigger conversation overall there is that Facebook has said that they were going to do a better job with political advertising, that they were going to better police those accounts and make sure that they're
put your money where your mouth is, Facebook.
Right. And so to be able to do this still, that is concerning. I will speak to, though, the only reason that I was able to see how long those ads of me had been running was because of Facebook's changes to better show users how the ad system works. And so now there's this sort of any page or account that serves ads, you can go in and audit their timeline, basically their timeline of advertising. And so you go to this little special section and it shows every single ad they've ever run, how long it ran. You do have to dig
Holy
a little
cow.
bit, but
Wow.
I like that feature is there. Like, I have to give Facebook some credit for actually updating that, because in the past it was just all hidden behind and there was no way to know that.
Right.
Yeah, they never wanted you to know that stuff. Now they're kind of forced to having to reveal.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. We should probably move on from Facebook, right?
Please and thank you.
But first, I am very excited about this. We have a new sponsor here on the network and for This Week in Tech, and that's privacy.com. You don't use the same password everywhere, or at least you shouldn't be. Let's get that fixed. You shouldn't be. So why use the same card number when you shop online? With privacy.com, you get a brand new virtual Visa or MasterCard card number for every purchase you make online with just one click. Folks, I have been using privacy.com for, like 2-3 years now, and it is genuinely so helpful in all aspects of keeping yourself safe, of making sure that you've got your different subscription services on lock. It is fantastic. So you go online and say you want to set up a new Netflix subscription. You go onto Privacy. With one click, you can create a card. And it gives you a number for that card. It gives you all the information, your date, your security code, all that jazz. And it will let you lock a specific vendor to that card. So I go to Netflix, I type in those card numbers and all the other information, and I set up a subscription for Netflix. When I hop back to Privacy, the card actually changes. It becomes a Netflix card, and only Netflix can use that card number to make those purchases. But it goes even further. It allows you not only to do that, but to set it up so that only a certain amount of money is charged onto the card, that it only gets to charge so much per month. It's very, very detailed on how it's set up. And so that way you never get overcharged for your subscriptions. When you want to cancel them, sometimes there are those horrible subscription services, I have to say, where you go and the only way to cancel them is if you call the people. And they give you this whole thing, oh, we'll give it to you for half off, this, that, and the other. Well, that's because they have your card number, right? And they're charging you every month for it, regardless of whether you call to cancel. With privacy.com, you just cancel that card. They can't charge you anymore, so you don't have to go through the rigmarole of trying to get that thing canceled. That's why I love Privacy. And like I said, that ability to go through and see very easily, okay, this is how much money I've spent this month, and this is what it's been for Netflix, for Spotify, for Apple Music, because I'm a fool and have both for some reason. All of these easily show up, and I can keep track of those things. And hey, if it's time to get rid of a subscription because there are way too many subscriptions out there, then Privacy makes it easy to do that as well. So you never have to worry about being billed twice or having some upgrades go through without your consent. And it makes it super easy to cancel subscriptions and at the end of a free trial, not having to worry about being charged ever again. Now, refunds work even if the card is closed or paused. So you can go through and pause any card that you want to, or if you're done with that completely, then you can close out the card. But refunds are still going to get back to you. And here is what rocks. The security of your data is at the core of what Privacy does. So your virtual cards are locked to a merchant, like I mentioned, so you don't need to worry about changing your card if your card number gets stolen or something like that. you don't need to worry about that because it's just that one card and it's locked to that merchant. So even if someone finds that card number and tries to use it, if they're not Netflix, they're not going to get it. It's fantastic.
That's pretty slick.
So slick. You'll get a decline email or a push notification if a hacker tries to use the card elsewhere. They're also PCI DSS compliant. I got to say, I don't know what PCI DSS means, but it sounds important. And are held to the same security standards as your bank. So there you go. They're held to the same security standards as that bank for your debit card. The sensitive information is secured using military-grade encryption, and information is encrypted using split-key encryption with partial keys held by separate employees. That, again, is very important, that those encryption are not located in the same place. So, all that awesome privacy and security jazz, Privacy has that covered for you. Now, currently on their free personal plan, you can create up to 12 cards a month. They're, again, secure, merchant locked, and single-use cards, whichever one you'd like to do. And now Privacy has launched 2 paid versions, both Pro and Teams. For Pro, costs $10 a month. You get access to everything that is included in the free personal plan, plus 1% cash back on all purchases. You get 36 cards per month and more security and privacy features. Now, if you've got a team, that's for those who own a small business or in charge of a team, it's $25 a month. That gets you access to everything included in the Pro version, plus a dedicated account manager, access to 60 cards a month, and transaction limits tailored to your business needs. So regardless of whether you want to do the free, the Pro, or the team version, you're going to get more features there if you need them. But 12 cards a month, so you can have the ones that you go to every time, your Netflix, your Spotify, but there are one-time cards, like burner cards, where maybe you want to sign up for a newspaper subscription and you just want to pay that first month of prices. And after that first charge goes through on the card, it immediately gets canceled, kicked away. You don't have to worry about it anymore. That is, I seriously, I know this looks like I'm overhyping it, but I really do love Privacy. It's fantastic. Before they were ever a sponsor, I heard they were going to be a sponsor on the network, and I was like, yes, I have to talk about them. Privacy believes customers should have full control of their data, so they provide their customers access to transaction data via a webhook API. So if you're a smart developer, you can get in there and get APIing. Of course, also have 2-factor authentication, which is so important.
Yep.
So protect your privacy and your money with virtual cards from Privacy.com. I'm serious. Go out there and sign up right now. Privacy.com. Head there right now. To learn more and get a $5 credit off your first purchase, visit Privacy.com/twit. That's Privacy.com/twit. Don't forget to check out their Pro or Team versions as well. Thank you so much, Privacy, for sponsoring this week's episode of TWiT and for keeping me in line with all of my doggone subscriptions. I appreciate it.
How many subscriptions do you have?
I don't want to talk about it.
No, we need to know.
I can plead the
fifth bottom of this
on the grounds that I might incriminate myself.
Oh, man.
So I got a box earlier today. Do you want to talk about that?
Yes, you
got a
did.
box?
So, I learned how to box.
Yeah, let me at him.
So the other day I got a box, and it was actually a Nest Mini.
You were super excited to get that
on,
Nest Mini too.
That was on This Week in Google. Because I was a little disappointed, I'll be honest, because I thought it might be the Pixel 4 XL that I was waiting for. And what do you know, that came today? Oh, now I know yesterday.
It's precious.
Nice. I know that last week on the show, or just Sunday, Florence Ion had her Pixel 4 to show off and everything. So this is not new news for the TWiT panel, but
it's okay to brag that you got your Pixel 4. Brag.
And I'm happy.
It's got great battery life because it's the XL.
Yes. Okay. So at least it's got a larger battery life. But I thought we could kind of touch a little bit on kind of a little bit of a roundup of some of the reviews that we have heard. Because Florence, she had spent, I don't know how many days she probably had it, like 5 days or whatever, and she gave a kind of a good rundown. Now we're starting to hear what everybody else thinks, and now that I've got it, I can put it to the test. I'm a little concerned about some of the aspects of this, and actually, Mikah, you're going to be using this phone here pretty soon.
I am.
At some point, we're going to do the switch.
That's
we
right.
about that?
Yes. Wait, I didn't realize we're actually switching the devices that we use.
That's the point of the switch.
Oh my God.
That's what This is what you agreed to.
I gotta get a case for my midnight green phone so you don't break it.
Oh my gosh! Yes, please do that.
Oh no! Oh God! Where's my baby? Did you already take it? Oh, here.
Don't worry, we're not doing it yet.
Where's my baby?
We're not doing it yet. We can hammer out the details. It doesn't have to be a bad thing. All right, so it sounds like from what the reviews, and I don't know, I didn't prep for an over-the-shoulder shot, so my apologies that I didn't do that.
What? Looks good.
We can do that.
Looks good.
Sounds like some of the reviews, a lot of them are kind of on similar footing on a lot of these points. The memory, the 6 gigs of memory and performance is great. Clean delivery of the software, everything looks like really smooth and nice. Of course, I did just
Google's
set it
launcher.
up. This is the Pixel launcher. So this is the stock launcher. Yep, that's how it looks. You got your kind
super
of news
clean
feed over there.
Is that your typical launcher that you like on your devices?
Yes. Yeah, if I'm using a Pixel, I've got kind of the stock launcher going, and I don't tend to change that. The design, so this was like pulling it out of the box was my first exposure to the phone. I got to say, I really like this like matte glass approach. Micah's gonna pod it a little bit.
So is this
really
what
nice.
is this, rubberized or plastic, or what's this around the outside? I mean, the black part.
The black part. Well,
Do you know what material?
I thought it had
material is that?
aluminum around
Yeah, I
the
think
edges.
it's aluminum around the edges, glass on the front and back.
Oh,
but it's got
feels
what's
really
interesting
nice.
is the aluminum and the glass kind of feel very similar. So
They do.
They've done some really interesting texturizing.
This is the Panda model, right?
And
Yeah,
it
so
should
this is
feel
the
a little less
light
slippery with that.
Yeah, I think
not
that's-
being as glossy. Oh, jeez,
Although
really,
it is
dude?
brand new, really. You just be,
Really?
I just wanted to know what it tasted like. Come on.
Okay, don't taste my phone.
Yeah, for the
It's my phone.
listeners
Don't
out there
taste
who are
your
not
phone.
watching, I pretended to lick the device. Acting.
Now, have you activated the radar and face unlock on this?
Okay, so the face unlock is pretty fast, I have to say. So I'm
It's
gonna
so fast.
I'm gonna hold it up, and at that time it wasn't.
No,
that
that was
fast.
pretty average there,
That
brother.
was pretty average.
It knows. It's
try
got some
again.
stage fright.
Yeah, that's pretty average too.
Oh, it didn't even do it that time.
Oh boy. Well, don't worry.
Come on, there we go.
Don't worry. I froze
Womp
an iPad
womp.
on air, so it's not a surprise.
Well, it's not me that's failing; it's the phone. So thankfully, there's that. I do think the display looks really nice. It's got the 90 hertz. Everybody's calling that out.
God, I
Speakers are
love
loud and
90 hertz
clear.
screens.
Apparently, assistant upgrades. I haven't had any time to play around with that, but people say they're notable.
I gotta say,
faster.
when I hear people talk about the speakers on this phone or any smartphone, I'm like, just stop.
No, I do this all the time.
They're not-
People do this, Ant.
There's smartphone speakers. They're not going to sound good unless you put it in a bowl or something.
No, that's
they're
okay.
not going to sound
They don't
good.
need to sound great, but to pump out the sound, a lot of people will
Yeah.
just listen to stuff from their phone.
Yeah, but
These will never
people are-
sound as good as larger speakers, but within themselves,
But when
there
you-
is a continuum between bad and good.
You read the reviews and people are like, the speakers
I
don't
see.
sound all that great. And I'm like,
I
what
see
are you
what you mean.
expecting?
Right. They're never gonna sound all that
They're
great.
just daggum big. How are they going to sound good?
because okay, I'll go ahead and bring
See, you're
in
playing
the-
devil's advocate and taking up for it. I'm not buying it.
No, I'll go ahead and bring in the Walmart on 10.1 inch tablet, and I'll play you some music from those speakers, and you
then
will
you'll know
understand
what
what
bad
bad
is.
Okay,
device
all right.
speakers sound.
Fair
like.
enough.
That sounded like a greeting card.
Oh my God.
Oh man,
Okay, at least this you can hear some
sound
subtlety.
like a greeting
in
card.
things. All right. So I have not played around with Soli. I'm afraid to test it out. The reviews seem to be saying, on average, that it's just not always reliable. It's
Yeah.
underutilized. Supposedly it speeds up face unlock, but we just put the lie to that a few minutes ago.
Right.
Yeah, and then I think the big downside and the thing that I'm worried about is battery. And actually, maybe not on the XL, because the XL has a large battery.
Right.
That's what I've been seeing is that folks who got the smaller one were really complaining about battery life, but the folks who've gotten the bigger one, among the people that I follow, they were okay with it.
I'm just concerned one of these days I'm going to walk into the office and he's going to be at his desk doing this. What is he
Turning up
doing?
volume on stuff, yeah.
What is he doing over there?
Speeding forward.
The Soli. Yeah. Did you want to?
Yeah, sure.
Because you're getting one here in a few
Now
weeks. I'm not sure when yours is delivering, but I'll.
You have made a mistake. I
have?
Yeah.
What did I do?
Well, so we hung out last night. We went to PepCom in San Francisco.
Yep.
And Shannon Morse showed me her Pixel 4. I can't remember if it was the XL
She had
version.
the XL.
Pixel 4 XL, and it had a Pokemon wallpaper that when you swiped your hand across the front of it, then the Pokemon would do some sort of interaction.
Oh.
And so your
set that
screen
up.
doesn't have that. And
Let's set
that's
that
Well,
up.
there's something going on in the background right now.
There is a live
Little
wallpaper.
live
back
wallpaper.
there. I don't know that it's activated at all. Here, we'll set this up because I think, if I remember correctly, it ships on the phone by default.
What did the Pokemon company partner with?
I'm pretty sure I'm just going to put a tiger paw on mine and call it a day.
That's so boring. You should get a tiger paw that moves when you swipe across the
Or
screen.
maybe I will look for that.
Yeah.
I probably have to install
Pokemon
it.
Pixel 4.
Let's have a style
So
editor.
Clemson folks, if y'all have a nice Clemson wallpaper that would look good on this, hit me up, please. Thank you.
Google's
That's the
new
first thing
phone
you do with a
has
device.
an excellent. Okay, it's called Pokemon Wave Hello is the app.
Oh, right. Okay. All right. Well, I
Wow,
don't have
Scooter
it
X to the
installed.
rescue so quickly, man.
Whoa, already.
Scooter
Yeah, there
X
you go.
is a machine.
Yes. All right. Well, I'll install that and see. I don't know if I'll get to it in time, but
Yeah.
we'll certainly see.
Oh no, we're waiting. No, I'm just kidding. You don't understand.
Last week, or on Sunday, I keep forgetting it has not been a full week since the last episode. I believe the panel talked about the face unlock with the eyes closed.
Yep.
Google has since said that they're going to do a fix on that, and they're going to push
Spoke
it out.
about it on Security Now as well, right?
Yeah, I'm
Didn't
not
Mr.
sure when
Gibson
that's
talk
going to
about it?
happen. Okay, so I installed it. That was fast.
It was really quick.
Pokemon. Okay, so if you want to show it, you can, and we can see what this is all about. Pokemon with gestures, apparently. Quick gestures. Use gestures above the phone to play with Pokemon characters. Okay, so something like that. Oh, it detected it. Okay,
See,
we'll start.
This is why I don't get to hang with the cool kids. Cause
Yeah,
This
you don't
stuff's
get
too
to do
goofy.
this.
'cause I'm not going to do that.
Oh my goodness! I just
It's
woke up.
Pikachu!
Pikachu.
Oh my
Okay,
gosh.
you are obviously of the Pokemon generation. I am
Firmly, yes.
Okay, so I want
You
to
knew
say
that was
hello.
Pikachu. That was good. Oh, look at that
Well, it said Pikachu on the screen.
Oh gosh.
face.
Oh my. Okay. All
Look
right.
at the little hearts.
So you trained it. That's what that was doing?
Is that what I
Basically
did?
training the...
a little bit of training, yeah.
Okay.
Or more just like loving your little pal.
Okay. All right. It is kind of weird though to like stop. Like, why does it have to be out here? I just kind of want to go.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's a good point.
Boy.
I don't know. But anyways, all right. So this is neat, I suppose. This is an example of the Soli radar that is up here.
I mean, I do like the aspect of having a Jedi phone, but I'm not doing
It's
it.
just that it gets to be your wallpaper. I think that's the cool part. So it can serve as a live wallpaper. And so when you pull up your phone, it'll do a little bit of thing, but then you could easily wipe over and then it'll interact. So she had Eevee and Pikachu as her background.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I don't think that was installed with the app.
Nope.
That's just something that, Shannon's got the, she's got the
she's
edge.
got the magic. Yeah.
She's got the Pixel 4 XL edge.
That's what it is. The chromium version.
I'll
Anyways,
be
I'm happy to have
honest. I'll be honest. I'm excited about the phone, but I'm only excited about the camera. I don't.
Wait,
Okay.
you were excited about cameras? That doesn't
That's
sound
very
about it.
That's weird.
That's about it. The camera. The,
So
the
what is the
software.
thing that you want to test on the camera?
I just want to put it on a tripod and do some Astro stuff. Just
Okay.
because just to see what it's like, and
What's this?
also to help prove that it does take a little bit of effort to get that stuff right.
Yeah.
Because everybody is sort of assuming you can just hold it up to the sky and boom, it's done. No, it's not quite like that all the time.
What's the Astro stuff you're talking about?
It'll shoot long exposures of the sky at night to let you see the Milky Way. But again, you need to have your camera still. If you got a little mount, put it up there, hit the button, step back.
How long does
let
it
it
take?
shoot for 30 seconds? I think Kevin Toffel shot his for longer than 30 seconds when he shot it, and it worked really, really well.
Oh, did it look cool? Where did
so
you see this?
pretty.
Is this online somewhere?
He was on This Week in Google, but he may have it on aboutchromebooks.com. But it was pretty fascinating. But the rest of the stuff, Android 10, I already got it, yay, and it works and doesn't do all
it and it works.
that's all I need. You doing this crazy wallpaper stuff, I can care less. I just need the phone to work far as handling messages, which is another mystery with Google, and handling phone calls.
Talk about that.
Yeah,
next.
please, because
And-
I've seen some things about that.
Right, and then taking some beautiful photographs. Now, granted, some of the testing, like the side-by-side between the 11 Pro Max, is that what you call it, versus the Pixel, a lot of the stuff on the iPhone looks better.
Yeah, this generation iPhone, especially when you're talking about the low light stuff. There's actually in the rundown an article on Macworld. Michael Simon did kind of a iPhone 11 versus Pixel 4 night sight low light kind of shootout. And at least in the pictures that are posted in this article, the iPhone 11 is solid in most of this stuff, whereas the Pixel 4 in some instances kind of just looks a little bit too blown out at times, almost like it's brightening maybe a little bit too much in some areas. But this, and some of them actually are very comparable. But I wondered how long Apple was just going to allow Google to be the reigning, supreme in
the night
night
stuff.
In the night stuff. I knew that wasn't a fight that Apple was just going to be like, well, I guess Google's just better than us at that.
I think
I'm
your
glad they're
assistant
competing.
is just transcribing everything you're saying there.
Oh, great!
Oh yeah, your phone's listening to you.
That's handy. Totally secure.
I'm glad Apple jumped in with this race, and what is it called? The Deep Fusion?
Deep Fusion, yeah.
I'm glad they jumped in.
Otherwise known as sweater mode.
Sweater mode, that's right. I'm glad they jumped in because now they can continue to push Google to get better with this each and every iteration of it.
For sure.
And granted, I know most people, they just want to just tap it and shoot and make it look good. Yeah, you're one of those.
Please let it just work.
Let it just work.
Let it just work.
But sometimes
that's my prayer to the photography gods. No, I do. I do like to play around. Yeah, take some photos from some different angles and see when I zoom what happens.
Everybody doesn't have a nice A7 R3 or R4 like Mr. Laporte has, but if they have a nice phone, take advantage of it.
Well, and they probably have their phone on them and they don't have
the A7,
whatever that camera was that you just said.
A7 C3
A7 R4 R2D2.
There you go. That's it. Help me, Ant. You're my only hope. So tell me about this messages thing. I guess people are. We've got carriers jumping on board with. So
this is interesting. Google and its messaging mess, whatever you want to call it.
It's 9,000 messaging apps.
Storied history
Doing it again.
Of failure. My goodness. Sorry, everyone.
You have clearly trained your phone, sir.
Too well. All it's listening for is the word Google at this point.
Oh, God.
So Android messaging, as we know, as we have talked about so many times on this network, and I'm sure you've heard, it just really sucks because there's no one clear, definitive approach. At least on iOS, you have iMessages. Everybody's on that. It works. It's secure. It's feature rich. So great. You can party and be happy about that.
And we do.
We don't. We throw ourselves a pity party because on Android, it's a new thing every year, and Google has tried and tried and tried, and my goodness, they cannot figure this sucker out.
Right.
So last year, they ended up going with something called RCS, Rich Communication Services, and it was meant
the future.
It was meant to be the future. They wanted to. They were basically at that point saying, "Look, we can't do it, so why don't we replace SMS with this new this new standard called RCS? And you can do RCS in a number of different directions in a number of different ways. Google says use universal profile." All the carriers come onto this profile, get on the same page, and then, everybody on Android and crossing fingers, Apple. Of course, Apple's never talked about it, so Apple doesn't care.
Apple's like, our stuff works, folks. Sorry.
Yes, exactly. You do you. We've got this figured out. And then they just kind of waited. Google waited for the carriers to get on board, and the carriers really didn't en masse, which I think Google thought was going to happen. And that's certainly, as an Android user, that's what I hoped would happen.
Right.
I figured it would have because it's such a large market share of Android devices out there. Yes, the iPhone is super popular, but everybody can't afford an iPhone, so you're going to get a lot of those inexpensive Samsung Android phones out there.
Yep. So now where we're at, the reason that this has come up again is, a handful of devices have supported Google's RCS universal profile thing. Get this, the Pixel 3 supports it on Sprint and Verizon. The Pixel 4 does not.
Right.
At all?
No.
Not at all.
And that's on the carriers. That's not on Google. Like
makes perfect sense,
that's basically
right?
Verizon saying, "Well, we're not going to support it on the Pixel 4." It doesn't make any sense. It makes sense, I suppose, if you're the carriers, and it definitely makes sense in light of the current news, which is that the 4 major U.S. carriers, AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, and Sprint, have all banded together to create their own chat venture called Cross Carrier Messaging Initiative, or CCMI, where they promise to basically bring RCS in their own way.
So it's RCS, but they just want a different name for it.
It's their flavor of RCS.
Oh my God! So that's
And-
only further bifurcating the whole thing.
Yeah, but they're all on board.
But
And
but if they're all on board, it's not really going to confuse anything, right?
it won't. They are making their own messaging app.
Wait, do you have to use their messaging app?
And if you buy a phone, from what I understand, on any of those networks, you will get that messaging app as your default.
Oh joy!
And you know
it
how
better be
well
great, huh?
carriers create apps. They have a storied history of amazing apps.
This is so laughable.
So that's where we're kind of at right now. I did read that there's some news that they worked with companies like Samsung and Google to be sure that the standard works with their apps, although in their press release, Google was not mentioned, not even once.
Well, my question is this, when they said it's not supported on the Pixel 4, because it was like some interesting timing when all of this happened.
Yeah.
One could have argued that Verizon, for example, said, yeah, that Pixel 4 is going nowhere, so why are we even going to bother? Or they were already saying, yeah, we already got something that we're in the works in, but we're not going to talk about it just yet. Just wait.
Yeah.
You know, do you think it was one of those?
I feel like it was the latter.
B?
If it was one of those.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's total guess. You know,
it's not
nothing.
encrypted.
Well, and that's
end-to-end
one of the issues with RCS just as a whole, is that it's an unencrypted messaging platform, you know? And so of course iMessages, that is encrypted. So right out of the gate, this has, you know, RCS is not perfect, but it's better than SMS. It is a richer
Every time I
delivery of
send a
messaging.
message with SMS and it makes the photo like this big,
Yep.
and I don't like. I don't like.
You
it.
want all the pixels.
I just
man,
want people to have the things that I send them be delivered properly.
Yes, it's so true.
So what I've
man.
taken to doing is, if I'm sending a photo or a video or something like that to an Android user, I upload it to my Google Photos account and then send a link to the Google Photos
That's some
spot.
serious effort, brother.
That's
Right, because I don't
yes,
want it to be
that's
this
some
tiny
lift right
little
there.
image. It's
so
ridiculous.
true. I get something like, oh, we shot this video of your daughters at the performance here.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's
3
like
PP file.
Yeah.
you know, just all fuzzy. Like it's literally, I'm watching a real player file in like the 90s is basically what I'm
I
watching.
have one of those viewfinders up there.
Oh man.
I'm like, thanks for sending this to me, but I'm going to do literally nothing with this.
Squat.
But I'm sure it's wonderful. So anyways, I don't know what this is going to turn into ultimately. There is hope that, and actually some word that Google is going to be able to tailor its own messaging app to support this. Same with Samsung. So at the end of the day, like maybe it'll be fine. You know, if Google's messaging app is the one that we choose, is the one that I use, and it supports this, and more people are using it because the carriers have truly, you know, rolled it out
Figured
to all
it
their
out.
Android phones, then great. But
Is Google's messaging app encrypted end to end?
their messaging,
That I
no, it's
don't know.
SMS, so it's just SMS. Yeah. If they had stuck on Hangouts, which was their initial plan,
Yeah, why didn't they just stick with Hangouts? Hangouts was great.
It wasn't great.
encrypted that.
I loved Hangouts.
It wasn't great, but it worked.
It was,
you know.
yeah, it was fine. I actually still use Hangouts.
I still use it as part of our family group chat.
yeah,
but
exactly.
I thought it was going away.
Yeah, that's
welcome
what
to the messy world.
we're still
of
waiting.
Google. Yes,
We're still
yes.
waiting. We have a contingency plan, but as long as it's still there, we're
What
still
is the
exactly.
contingency? WeChat?
No,
WhatsApp, I mean?
No. I'm probably going to end up with like Slack or something. Quite honestly, you know, just all it is
end
is
up
just
with
a way.
RCS.
All it is just me and the family just saying, "Hey, I'm coming home right now," or "Hey, I'm going to practice," or "You need to do the dishes." You know, that's it. It's no more, no less. Nothing real complicated.
Oh boy.
Instagram group chat.
No. I get enough of those notifications, man.
There's just chat everywhere, and now I am on Instagram, so now I'm getting DMs through Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, cool, here I am again, messaging on 10 different platforms because I'm on Android.
It's hard for me to manage those notifications, so I need to keep the family broken off somewhere else, and Hangouts helps with that.
And not encourage the kids to spend more time on Instagram.
Now you get it. See, it's my master plan.
That works. Let's take a break and thank the sponsor of this episode of This Week in Tech. Is brought to you by Worldwide Technology. WWT began building their advanced technology center 10 years ago, and ever since, it's grown exponentially. It's like no other testing and research lab. The lab contains more than $500 million in equipment from hundreds of OEMs and key partners ranging from heavyweights like Dell EMC, VMware, and Intel to emerging disruptors like Tanium, Equinix, and Expanse. WWT is a trusted partner who stays with you over the years. Many of their customers have actually been with them for over a decade because they know that WWT is where they can go to get the answers they need to make sure their business runs right. Their ATC is an incubator for IT innovation, offers a number of things, on-demand and schedulable labs like Dell EMC, VxRail, XtremeIO X2, and Isilon. These labs represent the newest advances in primary storage. There are hundreds of labs to explore, including multi-cloud, hyper-converged infrastructure, networking, secondary storage, data analytics, AI, and more. You can learn about products before you launch. WWT's engineers use these environments to quickly spin up proofs of concept and pilots using the sandbox so customers can confidently select the best solutions. And in many cases, this reduces the concept time from months to weeks, which increases speed to market. That's super important. They offer lab as a service, a dedicated lab space within the ATC, and this is where customers can perform programmatic testing using the vast technology ecosystem that WWT has already built. It's virtual, so you can take full advantage of ATC's unique benefits anywhere in the world, 24/7. WWT engineers work in these labs every single day. They're beta testing new equipment. They're building reference architectures and custom integrations that'll help their customers make decisions and see results faster and with much less investment. And the time is finally here. WWT has launched their new digital platform encompassing the ATC ecosystem. This ecosystem creates a multiplier effect of knowledge, speed, and agility anytime, anywhere around the world for their customers. So you can get access to articles, case studies, hands-on labs, and other tools that make the difference in today's fast-paced world. You can learn more about WWT, the ATC, and sign up for access to their new on-demand lab platform. All you have to do is go to wwt.com/twit and create an account today. WWT actually simplifies the complex. That's wwt.com/twit. WWT is delivering business and technology outcomes across the world. And we thank them for their support of This Week in Tech. All right. So we've done it. We've talked about the messaging mess, and I've gotten all riled up again because it's just never solved. But dang it, here we are again. One thing we didn't mention about the Pixel 4s is if you're in the UK and you were getting a Pixel 4 shipment, you got it in a cereal box.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
What? I wanted to get mine in a cereal box. Yeah, apparently they were holding a promotional thing where you get it delivered in a cereal box. There's a package of cereal on the inside.
What was the cereal?
It was almost
actually
like a Lucky Charms-ish type of cereal, but it was their own little.
Probably had wheat.
Probably. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's nothing good in this cereal. This is probably the cheapest of cheap cereals ever. 9 to 5 Google actually did a full review
of the cereal. Oh, that's hilarious.
So, they even did a video unboxing and cereal review. So
the one time I'm glad I'm not in the UK.
It's very small.
It's a portion.
Yeah. It's a little tiny one.
That goes in a cup. That won't even go in a bowl.
Does everybody get it that way?
No, it was only 2,000. 2,000 promotional deliveries. I wonder how they chose who got the cereal.
That's just Google being googly and having a little cute moment, I guess. adds no value to the phone, clearly, right?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
But I should say,
Holy moly, is that the ingredients?
yeah, it's hard to show because I don't have my laptop feeding into the TriCaster. But
Oh yeah.
this is a wall of ingredients, so there's nothing good in this packet. most of the words you can't even read.
Highly processed goods is what it
Silicon
says in short.
dioxide, tyrannozyme, quinoline,
Little bit of
carmozine, puncule, allura, red starches, potato starch.
Everything a young Jason Howell is made of.
Actually, there's some truth to that. If you want to be like Jason, eat these ingredients. There we go. What do you guys want to talk about? We've done the Google. We've done the Facebook.
Well, we haven't done all the Google. There's
That's true.
Also, so they shipped out a firmware update. Is this for old Google Homes, or is this for Nest Homes that bricked these devices?
I believe that this affects the old Google Homes and Google Home Minis. Not all of them. Apparently, over the last few months, people were returning home to find their home bricked, not turning on, and they thought that there was a firmware update of some sort that had flashed over and made it inoperable, and people would call Google, and Google, would do that thing before they really have a handle on it, where the support would be like, well, I don't know what to tell you. And
Right.
Nothing infuriates a tech user more than when a company pushes an update to something,
Yeah.
it breaks
And
it,
it
and then the
breaks it.
company doesn't immediately say, oh, we'll take care of that
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah.
Right? Like it was working until you did something with it, company. So anyways, now Google is admitting, yes, hey, there is a problem here. They say they're aware of that.
I wonder how many people were actually affected, though.
I don't know.
And how much it's going to cost Google in
Probably not
making
much.
good on it.
I mean, I'm
going to go home and update my firmware so I can get a new one.
yeah, you get a brand new. I wonder if they replaced
It's a
the
nice
Home
plan.
Mini with a Nest Mini.
That would be no.
But I've got a home. So what would they replace that with? Nothing.
A home.
Oh.
Yeah, both of them were affected, right? The home and home mini, correct?
Yeah. But I want a new thing.
You wanted to say, so your home's not working for you?
No, it's fine. It's fine. I tease. I just
want more things.
I want it to be refreshed
and shiny.
Yeah, like a brand new
Of course.
one.
You know how you can refresh it? Get the new Nest Mini.
That's true.
Because it actually does sound better. I connected it a couple of days ago. It sounds pretty good compared to the Home Mini.
Okay. Oh, so what about the home?
I'm fine with the home. You mean the sound of the home?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy with it. I mean, it's not audiophile quality.
I don't have any minis. I just have the home.
Okay.
I don't have one, but again, I've heard it, and expectations are too daggum high for these things. On speakers, they're just too high.
Yeah. Okay. I agree with you on that.
I think you agree with one another.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. Just
I
making
was like,
sure.
wait a minute.
The expectations are too dadgum high.
No,
the rent is too dadgum high.
For us, the thing I love about our Google Home is we have a battery pack attachment for it.
Is this from a third party?
Yeah, it's a third party. I wish I could remember the name off the top of my head. Maybe I'll search my email for it. But when it's plugged in, as it is 90% of the time,
right,
it's charged the battery to full, and it's all good. And then, like my girls, we have a area in the backyard with grass, and they like to do dance shows and gymnastic shows, and they like to play music.
That's cool.
So they unplug the home, take it out there. It never loses its connection.
Nice.
It just is immediately on battery, and that battery lasts for like 5 hours.
You have a UPS for your Google Home.
Totally. I have it charged up too in case PG&E goes out. Of course, there will be no internet, so it'll be useless.
Is this it?
The
LOFT?
One? Yes, that's it. The LOFT.
That's pretty cool.
You got it. So that's the 97 LOFT, I believe is what it's called.
Yeah. So I think the company's called 97, and then the
it's a battery base for the Google Home, and
I'll add a link in the show notes.
And it kind of blends in. The one that I have is white, like the Google Home, so it blends in with the design, so it doesn't stand
like
out.
that.
Wow.
Ooh, I might have to get one of those bad boys.
And it's just really great. You push that button on the bottom. It tells you how much battery there is. If you hold it down, it kills the power.
Because that's what I hate about the HomePod is I want to be able to move my HomePod places. Because I've got one of each. I've had, for writing about all the different smart speakers.
Yep.
And so I've got the most Echoes, though. They're just everywhere. But I've got the Google Home and the HomePod. And the HomePod, I wish I could move it to different places. Of course, some people have since said, there are some companies that make those gigantic charging bricks that you can actually plug AC power into.
Oh,
yeah.
No, I'm
this
not
is
doing
not
that.
as elegant.
Yeah,
right?
this is gorgeous.
Yeah.
This looks great.
Yeah, it's nice that it's all one tight unit, and it works really well. Like, it works every time. So I think I take it for granted now because I'm so used to having it. But yeah, I don't mind the sound of it. For my kids' dance shows,
Yeah, it's good.
Whatever it's worth.
It's good enough for that.
It's great for that.
It's good enough for that peace of mind dad time right there.
Totally.
I get that.
Oh, that rhymed. Peace of mind.
Oh,
dad
wow.
time.
I'm a rapper too.
So let's see here. What else?
Amazon.
Okay.
I thought this was a fascinating thing. So Amazon, of course, is like notorious for barely being profitable, or if they are profitable, it's not where other tech companies kind of have to be. And despite that, Amazon shareholders, for the most part, don't make a big stink over it, whereas other companies, tech companies, get a lot of big stink. Amazon is an odd company in so many ways, but where they make their money, AWS, of course, is a big thing.
Yep.
But it
Doing
turns
well.
out, doing very well. Where they're spending most of their money right now, because they just had their earnings report. Was it yesterday?
Yeah.
They're spending billions of dollars. In fact, up to $9.6 billion of spending on shipping. They want it to be, because right now, I order, again, I'm a terrible person after I did the triangulation interview about
Mr.
garbage.
Garbologist.
And I should stop ordering from Amazon because it turns out your boxes are probably not being recycled, but that's a whole nother story. And so I'm ordering Amazon stuff all the time. The only reason that I go to the store for something, groceries is another thing, but I'm talking like everything that's not groceries.
Right.
The only reason I go to the store for something is if I want it now and not later. Like if I decide that I don't want to wait 2 days for it, or in some cases I can't wait 2 days for it, or 1 day or whatever, then I will go to the store. But everything else, I just get on Amazon because I can count on a fair price, that's compared to wherever else you might be getting it. I've never been overcharged by Amazon. That it'll arrive directly to me, like it takes away inconvenience. And so now they're continuing to spend money to try and make it so that those decisions aren't even ones you have to make, where you're not even going, well, because I need it right now, I'll just go to the store and get it. They want to spend enough money to make it so that you can get it as quick as possible.
Again, this is more of a long game thing here. You're spending, they're going to spend a bunch of money up front, but it can potentially just come back in multiple folds of profit. More people would be interested. Granted, it seems like everybody's using Prime now anyway, but you're getting this 1 day shipping as an extra incentive, and people are like, well, yeah, I'll pay the $100 and whatever month, however much it is a year. Is it $120 a year? Something like that.
I can't even remember. It's just
it's just sort of automatic now.
Happens, and I'm like, yes, it's Prime,
And so, and Amazon is just banking on that. We're going to get more people. This is going to be an investment in ourselves, and it's going to come back.
Well, and one of the things that I found fascinating, it's from Jeff Bezos. He says, although it's counterintuitive, the fastest delivery speeds generate the least carbon emissions because these products ship from fulfillment centers very close to the customer. It simply becomes impractical to use air or long ground routes. So what he's saying is, like, you might go online and you see 1 day shipping and you see 3 day shipping or something like that.
Yep.
And you might think, I'm going to choose 3 day shipping because I want to be green today. Turns out choosing 1 day shipping is the better option because it's the most practical way to get it to you is by having it at a local facility. And I can remember, it's been a long time now, but there was a story out a while back that was looking at the way that Amazon was using artificial intelligence to predetermine what customers would be ordering in order to use their logistics centers to get those products to the right place. So you can imagine that, like,
that's beautiful.
If I once a month order a big thing of the Greenies dog treats that I give my dogs, then
they're great.
They are great. According to
why are y'all eating dog treats?
So
they're so delicious. Look, I don't eat many vegetables.
Yeah.
They're the only greens that I eat, okay?
They're very minty. They're fresh.
They clean my teeth.
Right. Yeah. To be clear, they're great for the dogs, says the veterinarian.
Right,
the veterinarian's like, get your dog on a Greenies regimen. Anyway, so they know that, and they make sure then that the local Amazon not marketplace, but warehouse has those on stock before I were to ever order those. And that's a very small example. It's obviously on a much bigger scale.
No, but that's a damn good strategy, though. You know, with especially when they have all of these other subscription options in place already. It makes perfect sense. You know, just go ahead and have everything ready. And
ready to roll.
Cheaper, you know,
and I mean, included with Prime. Coming up for this holiday
Prime
season, one day shopping. Apparently, they're going to add this to millions of products.
Oh,
and
really?
And so that conditions the users to kind of expect that, which heightens the value of the service, because then at some point you realize that you are just getting one day shipping included. Of course, you're paying the Prime fee, but now suddenly the value of Prime shoots up even more.
It just keeps getting,
and eventually that becomes a profitable, a profitable thing for Amazon.
It makes me wonder if this was part of the reason in the relationship between Amazon and UPS soured, because Amazon knew they really wanted to push this one day and getting more things to those fulfillment centers. Somebody had to get the stuff to those fulfillment centers in a timely manner, you know, and yes, I'm sure Amazon took the last mile, but I wonder if that was part of the sour relationship.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, and Amazon has to be, at the same time, Amazon has to be credited in some ways for saving the United States Postal Service.
Yeah.
So there was a period of time, because I was working at Newsy at the time, and I remember doing story after story about how the USPS workers were maybe not going to get their retirement funds, how they were trying to find new ways to get people to spend money, how they were trying, and Amazon came in and said, well, right now with UPS and FedEx, we can't do Sunday deliveries I think maybe it was even Saturday and Sunday deliveries, but definitely Sunday deliveries in most places. And if you want to do an exclusive deal with us, we will pay you, we will buy that opportunity to do Sunday deliveries. And that was a great influx of cash for the USPS at the time, which a lot of people think that the United States Postal Service is funded by our taxes. It is not. It is an independently funded organization. And a lot of people...
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, and that's a big important thing to note here, is that the USPS is a separate organization, despite the fact that it has many a tie to the government because of like how it was founded and everything like that. And the U.S. Postmaster. However, it is a organization that's completely funded by what we put into it or what companies put into it. And so that's why stamps and things like that are so important. And in fact, because of a certain president giving out the idea that the USPS was funded by the government through our taxes, the USPS has this whole FAQ on their website that very clearly spells out everything and why it is not a tax-funded organization.
Wow.
But so Amazon, like in terms of shipping, I think it has to get credit for that. And two, earlier I was complaining about the different things I wasn't warned about with California. One I forgot to complain about, but it's a good thing overall, so I'm not really complaining. I'm complaining about myself for not ever remembering that if I go to the store, I need to bring doggone bags.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you do.
And I keep forgetting that. And so what I've taken to doing, because I have a Amazon Prime subscription already, is make use of the Amazon Prime Whole Foods Market thing. And so I can order most of my groceries online, and they come to my door in paper bags that I then fold up and tuck away for one day when I will use them in a store, except I always forget to put them in my car.
So you've got a growing pile of paper bags at this point.
But at least you have a recycling bin.
Yeah, exactly.
So I give you credit for that.
But that too is like an added benefit that Amazon has done, and the system that's set up in place to deliver those groceries from because it's free shipping or free delivery. Like you don't pay a delivery fee for it if you're an Amazon Prime subscriber. And so that also a thing that I like about it is the fact that the tip goes to, like, you can always give a bigger tip, but you are not paying a delivery fee, and so it feels like, you know, I can send more money than to the person who's driving. So I like that.
It's been a really long time since I ordered groceries online, like Webvan long. Do you remember Webvan?
Never ordered groceries online, my man.
Webvan? Okay,
Never done
Webvan was a .com bubble company.
Oh, really? That long ago?
This was a company that tried to do this back in 2001. Well, no, that's when they filed for bankruptcy. It was 2001. But I remember doing this back then. And
back in my day.
Well, and you know, obviously things have come a long ways in nearly 20 years, right?
I think.
But I remember it being kind of a pain in the butt to like think about what groceries I wanted and ahead of time and do that. Like, but this is how you're getting your groceries now. Like, do you like the process? I've been curious about it here almost.
I've never tried it. There was a couple of times where it crossed my mind because I was just busy. But I've never done the online grocery thing, and it seems like it'd be pretty convenient. But I always end up at the corner store or at the market myself.
It took time.
Yeah.
So I will say that, like, it took me time to figure out what groceries I could get and how I wanted. But once I found out what Whole Foods, because basically what I did was I took what I already had at home and then did searches for those products. You know, so I have my, peanut butter and I have bread, gluten-free bread, and I've got this, that, and the other. And then I looked to see if it was available from Whole Foods and sort of replaced the other things with these things and found out that, okay, they have this. And then after you do it, they can start recommending things that you might be interested in. Nice. I also like the fact that they've got it set up so that
feeding the algorithm.
You want to do like ingredient or a recipe. They make it very easy. Okay, well, just add this whole thing to your shopping list, and then you can make that dish or whatever.
Oh, that's nice.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can get most, including if you wanted to order, wine, beer, things like that. You can order it through Amazon Prime now as well. And that's the thing, is that this is a little bit different from one day delivery where it comes the next day. This is, I order at noon, and I have a delivery window between 4 and 6 that same day.
Because so I get coming from your local Whole Foods,
from your
which
local
is
Whole Foods,
a couple of miles away.
Yeah, so I think that's nice as well, that people can get those groceries the same day, and be as preemptive as they want to be about it. So
and from that perspective, it's interesting because Amazon is operating their grocery business same day delivery the way that they probably intend to operate their Amazon product delivery at some point. Like in a best case scenario, they'd have a warehouse that is mere miles away from everybody, depending on where they happen to be, with enough of the main core products that most people order so that they can get it to you on same day. And I guarantee you that's what they're aiming for.
And in fact, I wouldn't be surprised if they start finding areas in Whole Foods and their Whole Food stores to serve as storage units for those places.
Or that informs kind of the buildings that they buy for new Whole Foods.
Yeah, it's like a route.
Here's a new distro right here.
Yeah, totally. And then at some point we're going to have our little drones delivering our burritos and everything. It's going to be great.
They have the approvals for that. They already have the drone approvals. I just haven't seen anything.
No.
Until we get hit in the head with those drones, and then
if you get hit in the head with a drone, it's your fault. You should hear it coming.
That's true. That's a really good point.
Yeah. I've got my noise canceling headphones on.
Oh no, nice try.
And you won't get hit in the head by the drone. It'll be the burrito that the drone is carrying.
Yeah. Oh, so, that's right.
It's not that bad.
It's the payload.
No one cries when they get hit in the head with a burrito.
Let's test it.
I should also point out here, Jeff Bezos was for a very small amount of time, based on yesterday's earnings, knocked out of the lead as world's richest person.
For about
Bill
5
Gates,
minutes.
overtook based on after hours, his net income the net income for Amazon rather for Q3 fell 26%. Shares fell 7% after hours, and during that time, Bill Gates was partying because he held the position for 24 years before Bezos took it over, and so for a short period of time he had it. But now today, Bezos is back at around $109.9 billion net worth.
You know,
that a boy, Jeff.
And Bill Gates is going around the world and dropping loads and loads and loads of cash to save people's lives.
Yeah.
Bezos is just looking at ways to make more money.
Yeah. But is Bezos scaling up to the
hustle,
point to
though.
where he can retire and then do exactly what Bill Gates is doing?
so.
right
Wait a
now?
minute, did you just
We
say
hope so.
where he can retire? He can retire now, right?
Where he will retire.
Yeah, that's true.
No, you're right.
I mean, just put it in
Dude could've
capable
retired,
hands.
yeah.
You know?
What is retirement?
I'm working-
When you're that rich, what is retirement?
I'm working towards
I don't
my
even think
retirement
I
with
don't
my
even think you
$1 billion.
retire when you're that rich.
Yeah, you just gotta. I don't even know.
You just
what to do.
continue spending money on things. And is it things for you or is it things for other people?
Yeah.
Bill Gates apparently is spending his money on other people.
He's clearly
pizza.
ambitious to have all of that cash, and he's still trying to think of ways to make money. That's a special kind of brain there.
He
you know?
actually, so Margaret O'Mara, and I wish I could remember the book right now, but she recently wrote a book. I interviewed her for Triangulation. I think that's going to be out a little bit later. She was talking about her particular fondness or interest rather in Jeff Bezos and like what a fascinating character he is. And you should definitely, I'm actually going to look up the book because in talking about it, it's called The Code. Yeah. And it's this book about Silicon Valley and sort of how it was formed. So it's called The Code, Silicon Valley and the Remaking of America. Very fascinating. But one of the people that she talks about in the book is Jeff Bezos, and having this conversation about how he thinks so far ahead was really interesting, and seeing what he's sort of like how he processes things. And because a lot of people thought, okay, he's just really into books and that's why it started with books. And it was so much more than just that. I'm not going to give it away. Those are spoilers. So watch the interview when it comes out and get the book. But anyway, just to speak to that, like Jeff Bezos is...
It's a different kind of brain.
He is. He's a smart guy. And he's got a space company to prove it. Let's take a quick break. Thank the sponsor of this episode, and then we'll get back into more. You guys can look and see what you want to talk about, and I'm going to thank Cashfly for sponsoring this episode of This Week in Tech. We love Cashfly around here. TWiT really just wouldn't be TWiT without Cashfly, because we've had Cashfly on our side for almost as long as we've existed. Give your users the seamless online experience that they want. You can power your site or app with Cashfly CDN and be 30% faster than the competition, no matter what industry or business that you happen to be in. If your website is directly tied to company revenue, you can give your customers the fast downloads that they need with Cashfly. Cashfly CDN delivers rich media content up to 10 times faster than traditional delivery methods, up to 30% faster than other major CDNs. It's backed by a 100% SLA. Cashfly guarantees the best user experience for all your customers, no matter where they are or what device they're on. Join the thousands of others who trust Cashfly's reliable network, including LG, Microsoft, Adobe, and Ars Technica. Of course, like I said, we've been hosting our podcasts on Cashfly for a decade. We love them. Every month, we deliver just tons of petabytes of video, of audio to all of you. Fast, it's flawless. TWiT just wouldn't be TWiT without the help of Cashfly on the back end. So say goodbye to logging in multiple times a week, or worse, even daily, trying to track your CDN usage. You're not going to see any billing spikes. You'll get a custom plan that's tailored to your CDN needs based on yearly usage trends. And on average, customers who switch to Cashfly save more than 20%. And you can imagine what you could do with that 20% and your time. And just for TWiT listeners, Cashfly is giving away a complimentary detailed analysis of your current CDN bill and usage trends, so you can see if you're overpaying 20% or more for CDN. You can learn more by going to twit.cashfly.com. That's twit.cashfly.com. And we thank Cashfly for their support, for their continuing support here at TWiT. All right. All right. What you got in the Apple world?
Well, there was a little bit of a news story earlier about Apple Pay becoming the most popular mobile payment platform in the United States. So you know about Google Play, not Google Play. You know about Google Pay.
I do know about
Yeah,
Google
I
Play.
do know about it. Use it regularly.
You know about Apple Pay. But do you know what was the most popular and has been the most popular payment platform in the United States? That would be
PayPal?
Starbucks.
What?
Oh.
Starbucks has for the longest time been an incredibly popular payment platform. And in fact, it was so popular that and this was, I think, at a Starbucks earning report, and I wish I could remember the numbers. This was a story that I wrote a long time ago about it, but they had some ridiculous number like every 6 mobile payment charges in the United States are Starbucks, or every 6 seconds they're a blank amount. You know what I mean? It was some huge number, ridiculous number. So Starbucks had been building out this platform to make it easy for people to get their coffee. And suddenly folks realized that this coffee company and their mobile payment platform was an excellent sort of case study on creating their own versions of mobile payment. And so folks have kind of looked to Starbucks for a long time when they were trying to build out, their infrastructure, the way that they set things up, the pitfalls and those kinds of things. But now we've got Apple Pay overtaking the payment platform. And I'm curious if this is a matter of the ongoing pervasiveness of tap-to-pay functionality in the United States, or if this is a popularity with Apple Pay in general, if that makes sense. Because it was easy for Starbucks to be the top mobile payment platform in a world where Starbucks was one of the only places where you could do the mobile payment system.
Right, with the phone.
Yeah. But now, as we continue to expand this technology, more and more places are getting the tap-to-pay functionality finally. And I know this is like almost entirely a uniquely American experience where everywhere else everybody's got tap-to-pay.
Yeah. Like, where have you been?
Yeah, what year is this? In fact, we've already got in the chat, I've been doing it for years. But it is, so I'm curious, do you two use tap-to-pay functionality?
I don't, because on the Android side, I never had a high enough success rate. It was just it just drove me nuts, so I just gave up on it. Because you remember Google Wallet, was that what it was called?
Oh yeah, that was one of its many names.
Google Wallet, and it touted having all of these capabilities with the NFC and whatnot, and you go and set it up, and either you go into the merchant, and the merchant would look at you like, I don't know what Google Wallet is. So that was one battle. And then if they did accept some type of tap to pay, you put it on there and it just stare at you.
Oh no!
Yeah. It just it make whatever that chime was, and then it just sit there and look at you. It was so unreliable, so I gave up on it.
Right.
But I always would see iPhone users doing it just easily, so I just assumed it was just another one of those fragmentation issues with the Android platforms. Screw it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I completely, I'm right there with you. For the longest time, Google Wallet, and then it was Android Pay.
Android Pay,
and now it's Google Pay. Yeah. For the longest time, I wouldn't use it for the very same reason. It was not a high enough. Like, for me, a digital wallet only makes sense for me if I have enough confidence in it that I can leave my wallet at home and know 100% it's going to work. Because what sucks more than going to the store, filling my cart with groceries.
Oh my God.
Getting there, the only thing I have is digital, and it doesn't work.
Then you're just like,
that's a problem.
And
that's a nightmare.
I've had that experience, and so one of those experiences was enough for me to just not trust it anymore. And to stop. Now, since then, with Google Pay, see, I can't even keep it straight. It's a new name every 2 years.
Right.
Since then, I've gotten better at setting it up on new phones, because I also test a lot of devices.
Yeah.
And every time I do that, I have to log in and then verify the cards that are associated with it.
Same with iOS.
Right. And that makes sense as part of the security and verification process. So I understand. But there were many times where I wouldn't remember to do that. And then I go somewhere and be like, I'm going to use it. And I pull it out and I hadn't completed the verification, so I couldn't do it.
Yay.
Now I'm getting better at doing that. And since doing that, I've had really good success with it. So like, when I do go to Whole Foods or the grocery store, I will opt more for it. But I don't know that it makes anything that much easier, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like it's really easy for me to pull out my card and tap it too.
Hearing the success story of how popular Starbucks was, that it's mind-boggling just because of my personal experience. I'm like, man, it was that many people with Starbucks, and it's just this many per hour or whatever that stat was. It boggles my mind. So with you and Apple Pay, being an Apple guy, are you comfortable with leaving your wallet at home? Is it that reliable for you for your experience?
So I have a storied history with it as well. In the beginning,
In a world,
I was afraid to use it because I didn't want to have that experience where it failed on me. I didn't want to go into the store and be that person that is trying to get it to work and it's not working. So for the longest time, I did not use it. The other thing was that living in the Midwest, not every place had it. There were only a few places, and so it wasn't worth like trying to figure out when.
That's how it was with me in the South. It was like most people would look at you crazy, like, I don't know what the heck you're talking about, dude.
And that was the other thing too, is like when I did use it and it did work okay, then there were the weird looks and stuff. And so finally, I just said, you know what, I'm just going to try it. I'm going to use it. I'm going to see how this works. And it was actually Walgreens that was my kickoff for being really into it. And that's because Walgreens does this fantastic thing where not only can you pay with your card, like your whatever debit card or credit card you have linked to Apple Pay, but at the same time, it also swipes your rewards card with Walgreens and does both at the same time.
All in.
That's nice.
Yeah. So then you get those points and everything. And so I started to use it there, but I didn't really have the aha moment until I got it on my watch.
Okay.
Now I don't have to take out my phone even. I don't have to take out my wallet. I double tap this button and go like this and it's done. And it's so quick. It's so fast. There's not like all these weird gestures I'm having to do or look at my phone and get it to unlock. None of that. I double tap and I hit that and it's done. And so now I do this everywhere. I mean, everywhere here pretty much has tap to pay functionality.
Yeah, you're in a good place.
Right.
Yeah. And in fact, there have been a few times where I have gone to the store and I didn't show a little like tap to pay icon or anything. And so I've gone through with my normal payment method. And then later on, it's like, use Apple Pay or this or that or the other. And I was like, darn it, I could have just done that. It's so much faster. Right. And then pulling out my wallet, finding the card, sticking it in, typing in the PIN, all that kind of stuff. So now I do use it quite a bit. And I can see why. I think that you're right about the fragmentation. I think this is a technology that has to work as close to flawlessly as possible, or people aren't going to want to use it because I don't think really anybody wants to be that person. You know
holding up the line.
Holding up the line. Nobody wants to be that person holding up the line. Nobody, at least among nerds who are the early adopters of this, nobody wants to be that nerd who looks like they don't know how to use their technology. And so you had like this whole...
The chat room will shame us for that.
Right? Right. So there were multiple, I think, barriers to have to climb over to get this to be something that could overtake Starbucks, and now it's doggone done it.
So are you leaving your wallet at home now?
I do sometimes. No. Let me try again, because I always have to bring my
driver's license.
My driver's license.
Yeah.
So my wallet doesn't stay at home. I leave my phone at home.
Okay.
Sometimes.
Well, let me rephrase that. Are you comfortable enough with leaving your payment source in the car or what have you?
Yes.
And just going into the store.
I have gone into the store with just my watch on.
Okay.
I leave my
Wouldn't
phone
even think
and
twice
my wallet
about it
in the car. Yeah, because
that says a lot.
Yeah, it genuinely has not failed me. Now, of course, there's probably going to be some time where they're like, our tap to pay is down, and I'll be like, oh well, I'll be back. I've got to go get my card, but I've not had that be an issue.
That says a lot, though. You just second nature, just leave it in there and go and do what you need to do.
And in fact, it feels more secure there because this has only happened to me once, but I was in a hardware store and was getting some wood for a project that I was working on, and
he was building widgets.
I was remodeling my grandma's bathroom, and I left, or somehow my wallet fell out of my pocket. I don't even know how it happened, but like, I'm not a person who usually loses those kinds of things. And so it really threw me off my game when it happened.
Yeah.
And so now I think about that sometimes, and I'm like, you know where it's safe and where I don't have to worry about it getting lost is if I leave it in the car, in the glove compartment or whatever. Now, don't break into my car. Steal
too much information.
Yeah, steal my ID.
And I was also going to tag onto that my reuse, my resurgence into using it actually came out of necessity, going to the store and realizing I didn't have my wallet.
Whoops.
Thinking I had it. It was like, well, what am I going to do? And it turned out it worked. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. Okay. So this is kind of nice.
So
it saved the day.
You threw yourself into the fire, essentially.
Yeah,
man.
exactly.
Goodness.
So sometimes it just takes a little reason to tip the scales. To tip the scales. Put your toe back into the water and try it again. So
pretty good.
The other thing there, so I found this an interesting story. It's not just an Apple story; it's an everything story. But it's about
he says.
the Apple blogs were covering it. But there's a government bill out that, well, they're working on this bill that could see emergency alerts appearing in streamed services. So right now, or at least previously, you would be watching. In Missouri, we would get tornadoes, and that was a regular occurrence. And so I can remember during tornado season, you'd be watching TV, and the tornado sirens would be going on outside, but then the television would also do this like, and then you get the emergencies broadcast service, blah 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 blah. The message would come through. Now a lot of us are cord cutters. A lot of us are even maybe TV-less.
Right.
We don't necessarily have the same methods and ways of getting access to these security notifications. And so this bill is actually, I find it fascinating. It was created it was readjusted to help with the fact that we had that false bomb scare. What was in Hawaii, right?
Yeah, the missiles.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so this, the bill is kind of looking at that and looking at better ways to communicate and better ways to make sure that our emergency communications are set up properly. But with it comes the idea that streaming services, which we're all using these days, be it Netflix or Apple TV Plus or Apple Music, would play through an emergency alert. Now, there are some people who are
work.
How
would that be delivered?
That's going to be a government says do this. Companies have to figure out how to implement it, kind of a thing.
You're watching your Netflix show, and then suddenly it just like pauses, and a message appears over the top. And
yeah, I mean, and I don't even know if they've sort of figured out the exact scope of things. This seems more like hey, we want to implement this technology, or we want this to happen. It's your job to follow regulations to make that work.
Yeah, I wonder when
like
we'll
captions,
see. I wonder when we'll see a pushback on that, because I'm sure that's a pretty big effort.
For sure.
It would be some effort to code that. And so this is what my question was for the two of you, because I don't know how to feel about this, because there's a part of me who there have been times where I have realized I don't watch like local news or have access, easy access to local news. And so I might not know what's going on locally and what I should be watching out for. And with that, it was like, it would be good to have a way to sort of have that stuff available, regardless of whether my internet was, well, in this case, you wouldn't need internet, but regardless of whether I've got the cable hooked up and all that kind of stuff. And so in that sense, I think this is a great idea if folks who are cord cutters and all that kind of thing can gain access to these alerts. But then there's the other side of me that's like, don't mess with my system. Don't mess with the devices that I have and, my personal, like I pay for Netflix and I don't want you to interrupt my stream or whatever. That there's a small part of me that feels that way too. It feels
you
like
also
encroaching.
paid your cell phone bill though.
Yes.
And you can still get alerts on that.
Yep.
Yes, that's true. Yep. But I can turn them off. So I wonder
and that's interesting that we have the ability to do that.
Yeah.
I wonder if in these situations you would also have the ability to disable it.
Opt out. But I mean, you're right about that. I'm just curious, from your own perspective, do you have any of either of those those points of view? Do you feel weird about them encroaching, or do you feel like this is a good thing overall?
For me personally, I don't feel weird about it. I feel like if I was watching something on my TV and there was something I mean, let's put it into terms we can understand. We're watching something, and the fire, the fields are on fire, the mountain's on fire, and it's coming towards my house. Whatever it takes for me to know that, I'm happy with, And so if it's pausing or putting up a message on my TV that tells me, hey, by the way, the fire's right around the corner. Yeah, cool. Interrupt me. Let me know. My safety. I'm happy with that.
I concur. Being a sports fan here on the TWiT network, that seems like I'm the only one. watching ball games. There's been a lot of times in the South where we get interrupted about hurricanes or tornadoes or what have you while we're watching the game, and I've grown accustomed to that. And it's always been, well, I shouldn't say always been useful, but most of the time it's been useful information. But there are times when it's been pretty serious. You can think back to Hurricane Florence and how bad that was in my region. I'm glad something interrupted it to let folks know, hey, this hurricane is sitting on top of you right now, and you need to get out of there. So yeah, interrupt me.
Yeah. Well, I guess one question I have for you guys is, do you, like I do, I unfortunately I disable that notification on my phone.
No, I did not.
No?
I mean, as annoying as it could be at an
at least I think
inconvenient
I do
time
that it transfers over.
I know
that I have, and I know that I haven't, but I set up different phones. It's not something that I do on a regular basis.
I've had it
but I
turned
know
off.
that I have turned it off.
I've turned it off before, but since I had that moment, I was in southern Missouri and there was a tornado, and since I had that moment where I was like, man, it's a good thing I'm close to sirens.
I keep them on.
I turned them on and have kept them on. That's just a good way, I guess, of no matter where I am, I can get that notification. But we have a special service here. Is it Nixle?
It is
Something
Nixle.
like that.
I don't know if it's special to this location, but that's what I use now for.
I realize what it is. I keep them on. I turn off the sound.
Yes.
The sound I disable.
I turn off the sound as well because you're at a restaurant.
I don't. I need that audible sound.
Yeah.
I've had a situation where I missed the alert, and we had a hurricane.
Oh wow!
And I slept through it.
Oh my goodness!
Woke up the next morning, and we had large trees that were down, and I knew nothing about it.
Wow!
Because it just sounded like white noise to me with the whirling wind or whatever. But it was a hurricane.
Holy moly!
So yeah, I would have liked to have known to be prepared for that.
Yeah. Indeed.
Well, now after I've got all the anxiety, I think it's time to calm down. What do you think?
It's time to calm down.
Shall we calm down, Ant?
Thank you.
Time for us to calm down. We'll go ahead and meditate.
Yes.
I love how everyone just assumes my voice is so calm here on twit.tv.
It's not an assumption. It's an observation.
It's true.
It's all right. We're going to
so
thank
true.
our folks at Calm for sponsoring this episode of This Week in Tech. Are you struggling to sleep these days? I'm pretty sure you are. Well, you're not alone. 1 in 3 U.S. adults don't get enough sleep. And if you're not sleeping enough, it can really affect all of your cognitive functions and really screw up how things are going through your day. You're not going to be able to solve problems as easily, decision making. It can really mess with you if you're not getting enough sleep. Trust me, Mr. Sargent has really hammered this home to me each and every day about my sleep patterns. Sleep deficiency does some serious damage, folks, not just to your brain, but to your body as well. The sleepless are more prone to accidents, weight gain, and depression. So don't have sleepless nights in your lifestyle, folks. With Calm, you can discover a whole library of programs designed to help you get better sleep that your brain and body needs. Like soundscapes, over 100 sleep stories, and they're narrated by smooth, soothing voices such as mine, or Jerome Flynn from Game of Thrones and Stephen Fry. So what you need to do is go ahead and seize the day and get yourself some great night's sleep using Calm. Right now, This Week in Tech listeners can get 25% off of Calm premium subscription at calm.com/twit. That's calm.com/twit. That's CALM.com/twit, where 50 million people have downloaded this Calm app. So go ahead and find out why at calm.com/twit and get better sleep so Mikah Sargent doesn't fuss at you. Thank you, Colin, for your support.
Sleep is good. It's a good thing.
At least that's what I've been told.
Wow.
It's true.
I was just talking about that last night at PepCom because there was a company there that's helping track sleep, but they're doing it in a different way.
Very different way.
Yeah, you put this little device on your forehead, and instead of it being just an accelerometer or something like that, it's looking at blood flow, and by using that, it can determine a whole bunch of different things. So anyway, I was having a conversation with them, and I started nerding out about sleep and sleep and dream science again.
They started pushing him away. Go away, sir.
Like, we've talked enough about sleep with you, sir. We get it. You love to sleep.
Right?
So let's take a look here. We've got little bits and pieces from a bunch of different random directions. One of the things I thought was interesting was this Microsoft story. It's a VR experiment that Microsoft is doing called Dreamwalker. And basically this is a VR rig. It's meant for wearing and then walking in the real world. So we're used to thinking of VR as this thing that we do in a room on our own so that no one can see how ridiculous we look.
Right.
And, it's a controlled space. You're not going to run into obstacles and everything. This is an experiment that apparently the user wears a VR rig. It includes a computer, goggles, a pair of RGB depth cameras, GPS, and then a smartphone for the mobile data connection.
So you attach an entire office store or like a Radio Shack to you.
Yes, essentially, in your backpack. And you hit the road. And basically the software analyzes the route of where you're going and can help populate the real world that you are traveling through with a virtual world surrounded by virtual people that represent the real people that are surrounding you. And it boggles my mind why someone would want to do this. But it's interesting that you can.
I immediately think of a very troubling thing, and that's like a white person who doesn't want to be surrounded by anyone other than other white people. Like if they could make it so that all the people they're surrounded by are white in their own virtual space.
Wow.
That's kind of and less troubling, but still troubling. It's like a person who just doesn't like other humans. So it's like, I want to make everybody chickens.
I want
I'm
everybody to go away.
Chickens. Just so you could know where everybody is. This is it.
I see that, and I immediately think this is somebody that's not having a date tonight.
Well, that would be true.
I mean, if you are,
that would be true.
I'm. My first question is why?
Yeah, what is
Microsoft?
The goal of the?
That's a good question.
What is the point of that? But it's funny that I saw this. Miss Stacey Higginbotham brought it up on This Week in Google.
Yeah,
and it made me just put a question out there on Twitter. I just flat out ask, yes or no. Do you guys give a crap about AR and VR? And the vast majority of my followers just said no, simply no, because it's just not simple enough for people to just grasp onto it. And the people that did say yes, they thought more about, what's it called, the void? Or experiences.
Yeah, experiences.
They talked about that, and that made perfect sense. But just look, like this dude walking around here, nobody wants to do that.
No, I don't believe that.
We get people
really
complaining about carrying a laptop because it's too heavy. Now you want to carry a whole rig?
Yeah. Like what is this? Yeah. What is this? Because it's not augmented reality, but it kind of is, because it's definitely a virtual reality that's based on.
I can't call it augmented because they're looking through devices. At least with augmented, you're seeing aware of the real world.
But this is an interpretation of the real world. But you're right. It's not. You're not actually seeing the building. You're seeing a digital version of the building. It's
fascinating technology, but again, the question is why do this for this particular modal, if it is, just walking around with all of this gear on your back.
This is for people who do not like the real reality And who would rather live in a virtual
I'm not going to
house?
sit here
That
and
is
claim.
that is genuinely why this experiment was done. So it says, we explore a future in which people spend considerably more time in virtual reality, even during moments when they walk between locations in the real world. So this is looking at a way for someone to not ever have to leave the virtual reality they've put themselves in.
Okay, all right. So let me put a different hat on. There are people that have phobias.
Hold on, what's this hat look like?
Is this an app cap?
It's
that you're putting
usually
on?
orange and has a paw on. How about that? Okay.
Oh, of course it is.
Yeah.
But let's think about let's think about the people with mental health issues and phobias. Maybe this is aimed towards them, but but then the next question is that really going to help?
Is this therapeutic, or is this
Or is it a Band-Aid?
Isolating, or what is it? I don't know. I just find it interesting. I don't necessarily find it practical.
No.
you love it. Don't lie. This is your future.
I know
It's
I've
not my
never
future.
claimed to be a people person, but I can't see myself isolating myself that way. I'd rather isolate myself in, I don't know, just not like that. Not with a big rig, eGPU and power supply and probably carrying around a NOS tank to keep it cool. No.
Listen to this. This is from the paper. It is entirely possible that future VR users may interrupt their VR sessions merely to accomplish real world activities such as bathroom breaks or going to sleep. We also believe that future
not even
VR
to pay for the
users
coffee.
will still partake in real-world experiences despite experiencing prolonged VR sessions. Until such a future arrives, people will, at the very least, retain the need to repeatedly visit various physical places, be it commuting to work, walking to the grocery store, traveling. So they're literally saying, like, this is a future for people who want to just always be in virtual reality, except when they need to use the restroom. So this is what we're creating to do that. Of course, this is more a thought experiment than anything else.
Totally.
And not just because some researchers at Stanford and Microsoft are suggesting that this could be a potential future. It does not necessarily mean that has to be the case.
That it will be.
But what if this gets legs though? What are we promoting if this gets legs?
Hey, I'm not promoting it.
No, okay. What are we promoting in society if someone says, all right, I'm going to give you $250 million to further this and get this thing off the ground and get it on the shelves so where people can buy it and put themselves in a position to walk down D Street here in Petaluma in a virtual world because they feel like it. You know, what are we promoting with something like that?
Well, I think we're promoting disconnection.
Right, and I'm sure I'm going to get roasted for asking that question.
No, I don't think. Yeah, I mean, to me, if someone feels the need to do that, I guess that's not my place to tell them that they can't.
Sure.
But I get what, like, at the same time, I think the important thing is looking at the impact, the social impact that this could have. You're right. And
if everybody's walking around with these things, how does that improve or affect?
I mean, we're already griping about people walking around like this. We're really concerned about people doing that and talking about how it's disconnecting us from the real world.
Yeah.
You know, but what happens if this gets legs? Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's a whole nother level.
Absolutely is. All right, keep working on that, Microsoft, or don't.
No, don't.
Did you know? Did you know?
Did I?
That doing a funny dance on an app
means you have to go to the bathroom?
is that.
Oh, okay.
But it also means that it could be a matter of national security.
Yes, I did know that from this week's episode of Tech News Weekly. I believe we talked about that, Micah.
Right. No.
Yeah.
Thank you for stepping on my segue.
I'm sorry.
There it goes. It just zoomed off that segue you
Go
stepped
for
on.
it. Take it.
So we talked about this, earlier this week, but I thought this was an interesting story. TikTok is this app that's very popular among the youngsters, and I'm talking like my youngest sibling probably, who finds this app fun. It's a social video sharing platform, and senators are looking into the possible security concerns of this app. There are a couple reasons for that. One, it is an app that is owned by a company that is a Chinese-based company. And so data collection practices, privacy collection practices are different. The laws there are different than they are here in the United States. TikTok says that the data collected on U.S. users is stored here in the U.S. The senators and other lawmakers and officials say that may be true, but you are still beholden to Chinese laws, in which case there's that concern. The second concern is one that was not brought up necessarily with this last round of inquiries, but was something earlier on that talked about U.S. troops. That's actually like there's a category on TikTok that I've seen before that has trended that you can watch our troops doing funny stuff on TikTok. Like they post their TikTok videos. Okay. And the idea there is
a morale booster, if you will.
Exactly. And they can share it amongst each other and whatnot. The concern there is that if there are troops in the middle of missions that maybe are underground or are secret, or that even folks that are connected to troops that are doing missions and whatnot, that the location data and whatever else they're pumping into the app could then be used to inform military movements and things like that. Huge concern there. And then the last thing is just the idea that this is yet another vector for spreading propaganda from outside forces. So Russia has been proven spread a lot of misinformation on Facebook and other social platforms.
No, they haven't.
What? Not true. And we've seen some other bad actors do the same. And TikTok, which is targeting as an app or is used by a fairly vulnerable group, it is another place where that could possibly be spread.
I mean, 13 to 18-year-olds are kind of a core
it's a sweet
part
spot
of their base,
yes,
right, of their users. Right?
So we've got senators looking into it. This latest bill, as we talked about on Tech News Weekly, is a bipartisan, or not bill, but this latest inquiry is a bipartisan inquiry, which I think is good.
That's good.
And so everybody's kind of paying attention to this app and making sure that TikTok is doing what now it says it's doing, which is that they are separating between the United States and what happens here. And I don't mean physically, but I mean the stuff that happens here is different from how the app is run in China and in other places. So that's just kind of a we'll see thing, but I found it.
I'd like to see how that audit comes out.
Yeah. Because this is, I don't know, I think of it as just this harmless app, and we can't think of any technology as just completely harmless and silly.
Yeah, not anymore.
Taylor Lorenz had an awesome article about TikTok and how it's integrating into high schools essentially, and how teachers are actually kind of bringing TikTok, producing for TikTok into the classroom and stuff. And so when I read this and then I think of that, I'm thinking, okay, if there is some funny business going on, like that seems like a really messy kind of crossover there to have both of those things happening simultaneously. So, it's easy to look at TikTok and just go, hey, it's just all about
the beauty
dancing.
and dirty side of technology, though.
I suppose so.
Just for everything.
For everything, yes, exactly. Even just an app targeting just just dancing, and even that can potentially be a vector for something nasty. And
wow.
I don't like thinking about that. Let's see here. What about foldable phones? Were either of you ever a classic Motorola Razr user?
I was not, but that was the first phone I bought. Queen Pruitt years ago. Bought it on Valentine's Day, a red Razr phone.
Nice.
I was such a dork.
I love the Razr phone.
Did you have one?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you hang it when you hung up on people? Were you like, smack? Yeah.
I told you, you're going to pay me back for this loan, or I'm going to call your father.
Oh, man, you didn't just say that. Man. Well, apparently Motorola is going to release their own foldable phone, and it's going to be a new take on the Razr. Well, there were some leaked photos on Weibo back in April. I don't know if they're the actual phones, but this is the teaser, and you can kind of see it's super up close to like keep you guessing. If you scroll down a little bit, there's an animation. and it hardly shows you
What is
anymore.
happening there?
It's kind of it's very difficult to know what's happening.
Does it have rubber on it?
There's a fold
it's like
of
a
some
snake
sort
shit
happening.
in its skin or
Yeah,
something.
that is what it looks like.
It's very, very weird.
I am uncomfortable.
Well, I mean, I guess you can say that's foldable though, if it's just a flip phone, right?
Well,
Yes.
yeah. Well, I guess what I wonder is, well, I guess so. In and of itself, it's foldable.
It's foldable.
But is it a
We've
single
always
display?
had
Is it
foldable
double?
phones.
Yeah.
Or is it a hinged display?
Ooh. Yeah, like a phone that's got screens this way, hot dog style.
And I think that's what it's
or hamburger style. It's
supposedly
like
Hamburger
hot
style.
But is it one seamless display?
Or
Which means that it's like plasticky and weird, and
Which means it's
it'll
bad.
pucker over time.
and it's gonna, eventually degrade.
Yeah.
Right.
is it Microsoft? What's it called again? What is it?
Oh, Duo.
Is it Microsoft Duo or is it Samsung Fold? Is that what it's called?
Good question.
Galaxy
Yes.
Fold.
Or is it Huawei Mate X, which is the other foldable
That no
phone
one talks
tablet that no one talks about? That also got delayed when the Samsung
Or-
Galaxy Fold got delayed.
Is it my paper phone? Hello?
You'd be surprised. That's pretty close to the way they actually are. They're that delicate too.
Yeah, exactly. Just like a piece of paper.
The Mate X was delayed, but apparently it's coming out in China November 15th. This is
it's like
another
$2,400.
$2,400 phone. This one folds the opposite way, if I remember correctly.
Yep, it
so
did.
the Galaxy Fold folds the display into, so it folds like a book. And this one folds with the displays on the outside.
So that is
Both are weird.
That's Mountain Fold instead of Valley Fold,
Oh, okay.
according to if you're doing origami paper folding.
Oh,
really?
okay.
Did you just make that up?
I know that's God's honest truth.
Wow.
Surprised they don't
TIL.
use that in their marketing.
TIL.
So anyways, I know that you're looking for a new foldable phone to get. So $2,400. All you got to do is go to China.
I've got my foldable phone right here.
So what is that?
Oh, that thing's pretty.
Yeah, so you were calling this the Elvis?
This is Elvis. This is the new Microsoft Surface Book 3 that just came out. It is incredibly lightweight. Look, that's a real Windows logo on the back instead of the sticker that I was using on Windows Weekly.
And this is when Mikah Sargent breaks the internet, folks.
This bad boy is gorgeous, first of all. This blue color, I wish Apple would do some fun stuff like this. It's very lightweight. It's got the standard Surface Book port or Surface Port dealy bob thingy. You'll have to
the power.
be nice. Yeah, the power, exactly. Be nice because I'm new. I'm returning to the world of Windows a little bit. A standard USB-A port, USB-C, headphone jack. But what's really nice is how easy, as they talked on stage, it lifts with one finger. Oh, there's Windows, hello. But the reason it's called Elvis is because it, unfortunately, so during Windows Weekly, Leo chatted me on Slack and he said, I had made a joke. I'd made a joke that I said, if I do Windows Weekly enough, then I'm going to have to get a Surface Book. And then we joked about it on iOS Today that he would never do that because you don't let your friends use Windows was the thing.
Right.
And so during Windows Weekly, I guess he decided that my joke should be a reality. And so he, messaged me and was like, hey, you're going to be doing Windows Weekly while I'm out. Let's get a Surface Book. And he asked which one I wanted. And I was like, I really want the blue one. But the problem is it has Alcantara, which is this faux suede stuff. And so I said, I'll just get the sandstone one, which is kind of like a rose gold almost. Mary Jo Foley was getting the sandstone one. So Leo said, you know what? I'm getting you the blue one, but you have to call it Elvis. And that's because of the blue suede. So as you can see, there's the Alcantara, and it actually is pretty soft, but I'm worried about how it's going to be over time. But what I like about this, I didn't realize I was going to like a 13-inch laptop, but it's lightweight. It's better than lugging around my MacBook. And so I'm going to be using this a lot, like on shows that I do, like not just Windows Weekly, but T&W and all the other ones. And then it's also touchscreen, which is nice. There's me sniffing it. That was, Paul said, you need to sniff the Alcantara because for a few days it's going to smell kind of chemically. And it kind of smells a little bit like dry erase markers.
Oh, okay, that's delightful.
Yeah.
Does it get you high?
Well, let me see.
Yes. Don't huff your laptop.
It's starting to look like a triple rainbow.
Triple complete rainbow.
So yeah, that's the very lightweight, very pretty, I have to say, and well built Surface Book 3 running Windows 10.
Very nice. And you just got that, right?
Yeah, I got this on Tuesday, unboxed it on the show on Wednesday. Leo did not. It can go up to 16 gigs. This just has 8 in it.
Okay.
So it's it's not a powerhouse by any means, but
so it won't power your VR set while you're walking down the street.
No,
You can throw that in a backpack.
Yeah, I'll put this back here. Oh man, look! All of these humans I've turned into chihuahuas. This is my world now. I love this place.
I realized I was talking down on this technology and TWiT, but you guys have got to try this. Chihuahuas everywhere.
Chihuahuas everywhere. No, maybe I'm still just high from the Alcantara.
Yeah, I think that's probably the case. Cool, nice look. Can I feel the suede?
Oh, sorry.
I just want to.
Very nice.
Oh, that's a soft suede. It's nice. I've got shoes just like it.
Pretty.
Very, very nice. I think we've done it. Is there anything that anyone is like champing the bit to talk about? Or I think we've maybe talked about every single tech news story that exists in the last 5 days.
That happened this week, we've discussed.
Yep. There isn't one thing that we missed.
Even the one thing we didn't want to talk about.
Yeah.
I know. You know what? I appreciate that you led with that. We're like, man, I don't want to talk about that. Let's just get it out of the way. So happy you did that. That worked out really well. This was so much fun.
Yeah,
Yes.
I really enjoyed it.
Yes. We should do this again. We should kick Leo out. Be like, hey, Leo, go take a vacation or something.
Yeah, go ahead and do that. And then send
over.
us more Surface Book 3s.
Yes. Yes. Everybody should have one of these.
Right on. Okay, so Ant, plug away. What you got going on? You just launched another new show. You're busy.
Dude, this has been a big week, man. This was episode 2 of Hands-On Photography, and most importantly, episode 1 of Focus on Photography. So we got Hop and Fop in your podcatcher feeds. Focus on Photography is a totally different show. It's not what people are assuming it was going to be, with me rambling on about adding saturation and contrast. It is just sitting down and talking about photography related news, rumors, and just real life being a photographer. What's it like to be a photographer in today's world, and just all of the trials, tribulations, and fun stories. And we just have a good conversation. Me and Mr. Michael Woolsey had a good time talking about this. It was a lot of fun.
And every week, different?
We're going to do this every week.
Different person?
And we're going to have a few guests here and there, especially here in November. There's a lot of people wanted to wait until after Adobe Max and things like that, because photographers are busy with Adobe Max.
Indeed.
Imagine that.
Indeed.
So... But we're going to do that every Thursday, 9 a.m. Pacific time. I'm not on the East Coast anymore, right?
No.
Okay.
No, not that I know of. I don't know. I was huffing Micah's laptop, though.
Yeah,
So
who knows?
I'm kind of feeling like I'm on the East Coast right now.
But it's been a lot of fun getting that up and running. And Hands-On Photography is at 2 p.m. on Thursday, and that's just me solo, quick hitters. Go check episode 2 out. It was a lot more hands-on and trial and error, and you might learn something from it if you're getting started with photography.
Right on. I'm excited for you. 2 shows.
Thank you.
You're busy.
I'm pumped up now thinking about it. I'm sorry. I got to calm down.
Calm down.
Calm.com.
Yep.
Calm.com/twit.
And thanks, Ant. This was fun. And Micah, you have your new show that's buzzing at this point.
Yes.
You're like, it's no big deal.
No. It's actually really exciting. Yeah.
It launched 3 weeks. Like 3 weeks ago, right?
Yeah, I think so. Smart Tech Today is a show I do Mondays at 4 p.m. Pacific. It is with Matthew Castanelli as my co-host. It's a show where we talk about all sorts of smart tech. So whether it's a smart toaster, a voice assistant, or smart tech that you take with you in the car, wherever it happens to be, we go there, we find it, we talk about it. We just talked about a smart toilet in this last episode, which was kind of fun. So yeah, that show is available for you to check out every Monday. Just a heads up that depending on how the fires are going, you might get this one on Tuesday, but it will be there in your feeds. And yeah, we've been getting some trending places on different podcast apps and services. So that is an audio show right now, but if we get to 30,000 subscribers, it becomes a video show. Oh. So if you are interested in smart tech, please give it a subscription, tell your friends about it, have them check it out too, and help us add video to what I would say already is a pretty good audio stream. We try to focus on that to make sure that it's not something where you have to see video.
Well,
But-
Yeah.
What I dig about it is you didn't necessarily go at it and say IoT.
Yes,
You know,
it's not just
it's a broad spectrum, and you and Mr. Casanella do a good job on that.
I appreciate you having to dance around all of the wake words.
Oh my god!
That's always fun.
In fact, I met the guy who gave us the suggestion of using the NATO alphabet to determine what the words would be. So that was really neat. He came in and watched iOS Today and a few other shows, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm the one that sent that email about it." I was like, "No way, this is
crazy.
great!" So
That's awesome.
pretty neat.
Right on. Cool.
What about you?
Yeah,
What
man.
about me? Well, all about Android.
Got a
every
new
Tuesday. Got a new phone, so I'm definitely going to spend more time with the Pixel 4. I mean, this is my phone for the next year. And then all the other phones that I review on the show, all about Android, twit.tv/AAA. Of course, Tech News Weekly, which I do with Mikah every Thursday. And I'm going to be out a couple of times. So then Ant's going to be in. And, you know, so you're going to get different aspects of all of us on TNW in the coming weeks. And so much more. I'm working on some new stuff. I'm not going to say anything about it, but I've got something new in the pipeline. So we've got plans, y'all.
There are plans.
And excited about
Plans
that.
AF.
That's right.
Inside joke.
Just want to give a big thanks to everyone who scrambled to make this possible because it's not easy to take a show that was supposed to be on one day and move it to another. Too many names to list, but y'all are awesome. Everybody who works here is so supportive and just really appreciate your support in getting this going. And thanks to everyone in the chat room for hopping in last minute.
Yeah,
and,
thanks for joining us.
Making us feel like we've got a live audience, which is really great.
Spending your Friday nights with us. That's what's up.
I do want to say, folks out there, if you go to TWiT.community, twit.community.
Oh, yes.
You can sign up to become a member of the community we have going there. It's a forum that's full of awesome people. It's a great way to chat with hosts and producers and everybody who works here at TWiT, and conversations with all of the other TWiTs. So even if you're not able to check us out live in the chat, if you're listening to the podcast and you want to go back later and comment on an episode, that's a great place to do it. So twit.community, you can tap sign up at the top and join and become a member there.
Yeah, that community page is awesome. There's always people
New stuff,
pitching in. If a new episode is posted, a post appears,
memes.
people start jumping on that. It's really great. So, and you know, you guys are a big reason why, because you're being so involved with it. So we appreciate that. As for this show, This Week in Tech, we've got a number of different folks hopping in. We will not be back next week on the show. We've got different people in line each and every week while Leo is gone. But you can check out the recording if you want to tune in live. You can. It's live every Sunday starting at 2 p.m. Pacific. And the recorded show will appear in the feed later in the evening on Sunday. So if you go to twit.tv/twit, that's the show page. That's where all the links for all of our ways to subscribe, which is what you want to do ultimately. They're all listed there. Maybe you want to catch it on YouTube. You can do that. Or, you know, you can start back at episode 1 of This Week in Tech and watch all 742 episodes.
The Wayback
You can
Machine.
binge if you like. We won't stop you.
The Wayback
You can
Machine.
binge if you want to.
It really is the Wayback Machine. When you go back to episode 1, you'll be hearing some historical tech news, let me just say. For all of us here at TWiT, just really appreciate once again you checking this episode out and not turning it off when you realized Leo wasn't here. We were honored to be here in Leo's absence. And we'll see y'all next week. Another TWiT is in the can. Bye, everybody.
Doing the twit. All right. Doing the twit, baby. Doing the twit. All right. Doing the twit.
I was coming up with a name for your new sitcom.
You know, from
Mikah to Mikah, where Mikah Sargent plays 2 versions of himself, the future version and the present, or
I'd
the
watch
past
it.
version.
Back in my day, young Micah.
I would watch it.
Yes,
Don't you remember what we used to do?
I do.
We would go swimming down at the lake,
This Week in Thespians.
and we weren't supposed to be swimming at the lake because it was like, well, radioactive. And that's why I have a third leg.
That's why you have a third leg.
I'm really sorry about that, old Micah. I just really liked that lake. It was so nice.
I know. I remember.
There was so many
But now
ways.
it's so complicated.
Clearly it is.
I don't know what to do about this third leg.
Well, just think about it. At least when you were a kid, you had a lot of fun, right?
Well, I suppose that's one way to think about it, yeah. But now...
Are you Marlon Brando now? Is that
Yes, you're transforming. that leg.
I'll make you an offer you couldn't refuse. I don't know.
It's a pretty smooth transition there, sir.
I just need to put some cotton balls in my
Cotton
mouth.
balls or some grapes.
I don't particularly like grapes.
So wait a minute. Are
So
you a
are
thespian?
weirdo.
Grapes are bad for...
Yeah. I was a member. In fact, last night we were talking about that. I was a member of International Thespian Society when I was in high school.
Unbelievable.
And what's her name?
Shannon Morse.
Shannon Morse. She and I went to the same local, like regional thespian troupe thing every year.
They're the
Because
cool
we're both
kids.
from Missouri. And that was a really fun moment last night. We got
the
to
cool kids,
meet another
yeah.
Missourian.